starting as the hand behind the scenes in Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1 Uehara Naraku. In the dark cave, the sound of water drops was heard sporadically. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps splashing water echoed in this secluded cave, and the man and woman hiding in the cave became alert. Someone is coming. The woman frowned, and her palms instantly turned into pieces of origami, with chakra attached to them, which looked extremely sharp. Her voice was somewhat calm. Besides the two of us, only Madara and Zetsu know this place. Are they here? No, it's a strange ninja. The man raised his head, staring at the entrance of the cave with a pair of strange eyes, looking at the figure that appeared, and his voice sounded a little cold and ruthless. Conan, go kill him. Even though they abandoned the proposition of the first generation of Akatsuki organization here 12 years ago, because of the death of their old friend, it did not mean that they were willing to see strangers enter the place where their old friend once lived. Killing a strange ninja who set foot on this place that cannot be defiled, whether it is a man or a woman, has no burden in their hearts. They are used to killing. Excuse me, is this the base of Akatsuki? Before they could make any move, the figure that appeared in the cave spoke to the man and woman standing in the cave first. I'm Uehara Noha's son, Uehara Naraku. 12 years ago, he told my mother that he joined an organization called Akatsuki and wanted to follow Lord Yahiko, but he never came back since then. The woman stopped waving the paper shuriken, and the expression on the man's face was also somewhat stiff. They heard a somewhat unfamiliar name. No, or rather, it was familiar. At least it was familiar to the woman, because the ninja named Uehara Noha once died under the enemy's knife to protect her. It was a meaningless sacrifice. As the figure at the entrance of the cave gradually walked in, the man and the woman saw the appearance of the person who came. This was a young man who would even wear a ninja forehead guard crookedly. He was wearing a wide-sleeved robe, which was obviously a bit too big for his age. The uniforms of the first generation of Akatsuki organization now look a bit simple, because Akatsuki at that time was really too poor. However, people still can't help but miss him. Are you the son of Uehara Nohatsu? The man turned his strange eyes and stared at the boy in front of him. Seeing that the boy looked quite similar to his father, he said in a deep voice, there has never been such a person in our organization. Go. The woman opened her mouth, as if she wanted to say something. When she looked up at the man next to her as if begging, she only saw the man shook his head slightly. The woman bit her lips and finally fell into silence. The boy held a kunai tightly in his hand, as if he was pretending to be calm. But when he stopped and wanted to turn around and leave, he inadvertently saw the appearance of the man and woman. He suddenly put away the kunai and took out his pocket. The man and woman in the cave looked at each other, with some surprise in their expressions. When they were alert, the boy took out a photo. The boy lowered his head and looked at the photo. He raised his head again, looked at the man and the woman. Then, the boy held up the photo towards them and whispered, excuse me, are you Lord Conan and Lord Yahiko? The man and the woman fell into silence. That photo was the only one taken by the first generation of Akatsuki, and many of the later members were missing from it. At that time, because everyone thought that Akatsuki was a peaceful organization, they did not pay much attention to the intelligence of the members, and many people sent it to their families. Moreover, the Yahiko mentioned by the boy was the first generation leader of Akatsuki, and was also the source of the two people's increasingly depressed mood. The man looked exactly like Yahiko, because the man's body was originally the corpse of Yahiko, and he was made into a powerful puppet. The person controlling the puppet behind the scenes was the red-haired boy in the photo. Lord Yahiko doesn't seem to have changed much, the boy said in a nagging manner. Although Lord Conan is a little old, you can still see the outline of his youth. The woman's face darkened. The man looked at the boy calmly and suddenly said, your father is dead. He died in battle 12 years ago. Now I have forgotten his name. The weak are not worth being remembered. A trace of panic flashed across the woman's face. In any case, she did not expect that the man would tell the truth in such a straightforward manner. At least this is the descendants of their old friends. The boy's face drooped, and he forcefully retorted, "Since you don't remember his name, why do you say he died in battle?" "Because." The man looked at the boy's appearance and said coldly, word by word, 12 years ago, only 2 people in the entire Akatsuki organization survived. He could have survived. The woman suddenly said loudly, and then continued to add, "If it weren't for me, many people could have survived." The man beside her seemed to want to say something to comfort her, but looking at the woman's depressed face, he finally stopped. "I know." The boy's expression instantly gathered, and he waved his hand with a cold face. "Since he died 12 years ago, I won't blame him." After that, the boy turned and left. However, before Uehara Naraku took 2 steps, a strange gravitational force pulled his body and pulled him back. The man grabbed his collar with his palm. "Although your father does not have much power, he is also a ninja worthy of admiration. Don't you have any feelings for him? Peen, let him go." The woman stretched out her palm anxiously and grabbed the man's arm, trying to make him let go of the boy's collar. Uehara Naraku pulled Peen's palm, looked up at the man's strange eyes, and a hint of sarcasm flashed across his face. "I'm so sorry, I was born not long ago 12 years ago. Except for this photo and this dress at home, I don't have any impression of him." From his mouth, the image of man who abandoned his wife and children emerged. In any case, the ninja named Uehara Nahatsu left his wife who had just given birth and his newborn son, to follow an inexplicable Akatsuki organization, which sounded a bit weird. "I'm sorry." The woman stammered and apologized beside him. Moisture accumulated in the corners of Zayanan's eyes. 12 years ago, they were only 15 years old and could not understand how much sacrifice the group of ninjas who followed them had made. Now they know the tip of the iceberg. No need to apologize. That was his choice. The boy shook his head, pulled the man's hand away, and whispered, "I came to find the base of Akatsuki, just because my mother died, and I always wanted to know about him." Zayanan looked at the boy and said nervously, "Your parents are dead, so where are you going now?" "Of course, to Hanzo-sama." Uehara Naraku spread his hands and explained, "In the past few months, I have been a wandering ninja, trying to find out the news of Akatsuki and the whereabouts of my father. Now that my wish has been fulfilled, of course I will go to Hanzo-sama and become a formal ninja." Pain and Zayanan looked at each other. A descendant of the first generation of Akatsuki members actually wanted to go to the murderer of his father? This kid named Uehara Naraku didn't know the truth. How could those who knew the truth, especially Zayanan, tolerate such a thing? No. Conan reached out and grabbed his shoulders, squatted in front of him, and said with a cold face, "Your father Uehara Nohatsu joined Akatsuki, so his child is also a member of the organization." "Your organization? Why is it a bit like a pyramid scheme?" Uehara Naraku looked back and forth between Conan and Peen, couldn't help blinking his eyes, and subconsciously complained. But he finally achieved his real goal. Uehara Naraku's brain made a ding sound. Side quest, join an organization, 1/1, quest completed, reward, Justice Colossus Galio, psychic contract. Chapter 2 I'm actually a cheater. Uehara Naraku is actually a time traveler. Similarly, he is also a cheater with a system. There are so many ninjas who like to cheat in the future ninja world, and there are many who are banned for cheating. It's just that one more, or one less of him will make a big difference to the ninja world. A month ago, he was still called Uehara, an ordinary person. When he went out to walk on the street, Uehara met a strange bookseller. After chatting for a few words, Uehara felt that he had similar interests with the boss. Everyone is an old second dimension, and they can just talk about any topic. Before leaving, Uehara felt a little embarrassed, so he bought a book at the boss's small bookstall. He really just bought a book casually. The ancients once said that there are beautiful women in books, golden houses in books, and thousands of bushels of grain in books. There is no harm in reading more books, right? The ancients were honest, and they didn't say anything wrong. Sometimes books have their own systems. The boss was actually weird. He just set up a bookstall, but he sold the books to Uehara according to the price of the cover of the book. Isn't it obvious that he wanted to cheat him out of money? Now it seems that he not only cheated him of money, but also cheated others. After Uehara returned home, the moment he opened the book, He was bound to a system called, the world's two-dimensional fans will definitely fulfill their wishes, which is referred to as the two-dimensional wish system. This system is a bit crude and shoddy. Not only does it not have artificial intelligence, but it can only issue tasks in a rigid way. After the system was turned on, it conducted a big data analysis of Uehara's preferences, and then sent him to the ninja world, and he became Uehara Naraku. Uehara Naraku's life experience is indeed quite bizarre. His father was indeed a member of the first generation of the Akatsuki organization, but after he and his mother had a child, he followed Yahiko and never heard from him again. It is difficult for an orphan and a widow to survive in a place like the Hidden Rain Village, where wars are frequent. Uehara Naraku had to be taught by his mother to refine chakra, and so on, since he was a child, and became a wandering ninja, but later he was killed by an Iwagakure. Uehara became Uehara Naraku. His main task is only to realize the wish of the bookstall owner and become the biggest boss in the ninja world, and the progress is 0%. What a simple and crude system. But why not let him realize his wish of just being an ordinary person? Instead, he fulfills the wishes of others? Isn't the system afraid that one day in the future, someone wants to become a crow and change his species, and he will also fulfill that person's wish? Of course, in addition to the task of becoming the biggest boss in the ninja world, the system will also release many random side quests from time to time, with varying degrees of difficulty. Strictly speaking, these tasks are more like the wishes of some fans of the second dimension, because there are all kinds of strange and varied things. After all, even if the system is mentally retarded, it is unlikely to release some obviously opposite tasks at the same time, right? For example, there is a side quest that makes Uzumaki Naruto fall into darkness, another side quest makes Uzumaki Naruto warm forever, and another side quest makes Uzumaki Naruto and Sasuke together. What the hell is this? According to Uehara Naraku's judgment, the publishers of these tasks are very weird, and the rewards they give are also different. For example, the rewards given by the current side quests are mostly from the League of Legends. Sometimes they give some hero skills. Sometimes they give heroes as summon beasts, and sometimes they give money. These are not the money of the ninja world, but real gold coins, which can be used to buy some strange equipment. Uehara Naraku opened his own panel. Because this is the first exhibition, it is estimated that it will take a long time for him to open the attribute panel again. Name, Uehara Naraku. Gender, male. Birthday, April 4, 44th year of Konoha calendar. ID number, Mosaic. Life energy 698, standard Chunin physical energy 501,000, chakra energy 1350, standard Jonin chakra 1000 to 3000, life recovery 2/second, chakra recovery 1.5/second. Available skills, air dance, able to fly in the air with the help of chakra, consuming 3 points of chakra per second, no cooldown. Command shockwave. By releasing a chakra puppet, a space-time gravity is released to gather the enemies around the puppet in the direction of the puppet. The range is equivalent to the chakra value used, with a minimum of 100 points and a cooldown of 110 seconds. Wind barrier. By releasing wind chakra, a wall of air current is formed to block the enemy's attack. The range is equivalent to the chakra value used, with a minimum of 50 points and a cooldown of 26 seconds. 10,000 Thunder Prison. By releasing lightning chakra, a circular lightning storm is formed around you. The range, power, and duration are equivalent to the chakra value used, with a minimum of 75 points and a cooldown of 120 seconds. Card trick. You can use powerful card throwing techniques. Every time you throw the fourth card, the power increases, and there is no cooldown. Equipped. Tear of the Goddess. Chakra plus 250. Chakra accumulation plus 750. And 10% of the chakra is returned after each ninjutsu. Psychic contract. Galio, the Colossus of Justice, consumes 3000 points of chakra. Remaining gold coins. 1320. For Uehara Naraku, the only thing to be thankful for is that his current skills are not bad, and they are not some orphan skills that are forward. Except for the skill of flying in the sky, which he got when he just started to practice chakra control and climb trees, the others were obtained through combat missions. As for the Tears of the Goddess, he got some money through some side missions and bought the Tears of the Goddess from the mall that popped up from time to time in the system. He knew how important chakra was in the ninja world. This thing could be used to save lives in the ninja world. The system gave him 2 side missions before, one of which was to create an organization and the other was to join an organization. If he was 22 years old, of course he would choose to take the initiative to create an organization, but he was only 12 years old this year. With his acting skills just now, it shouldn't be a problem for him to occupy the magpie's nest. The identity of this body is really too convenient. If you don't make good use of it, wouldn't it be too wasteful? As for who will become the real mastermind behind the Akatsuki organization and become the biggest boss in the ninja world, Nagato, Uchiha Obito, Uchiha Madara, Black Zetsu, everyone should compete fairly. Such a fun nesting doll game, why not participate? Uehara Naraku is actually not picky. His goal was just to become the last nesting doll, and it would be enough to trap Kaguya Otsutsuki so that he could complete his main mission. The Akatsuki organization is still a little down and out, equivalent to half a grassroots team. The later Akatsuki group only had half of its members, and the organization's secret base was located in a river canyon, and the members were still carrying out their respective tasks. Some people stayed in the base. There were 2 big spenders in the Akatsuki organization, one of whom was called Orochimaru, who liked human experiments, the other was called Scorpion of the Red Sand, who liked human body art. Are there new members? When Orochimaru saw Uehara Naraku behind Pain and Conan, he subconsciously stuck out his tongue and licked the corner of his mouth. Or is this the experimental material prepared for me? Pain shook his head and said calmly, he will be the new intern in the organization. Uehara Naraku, please take care of him. Uehara Naraku's smile was very sunny, but in this dark cave, his youthful vitality seemed out of place with the environment here. The others just sneered at him and ignored him. Uehara Naraku's smile suddenly disappeared. A bunch of bastards. It's rare for him to laugh so heartily on his own initiative. Could it be that this smile that he had practiced so carefully can only be used to deal with people like Might Guy and Rock Lee? Conan reached out and patted the boy's head. The woman leaned down and whispered in his ear, Uehara, can you find a place to practice by yourself? Oh, of course. Uehara Naraku took a half step back and nodded. The iris flower swayed gently above the woman's head. Conan walked into the cave. Even though there was a lack of light, a huge monster could be vaguely seen inside the cave. Looks very ugly. Power, very powerful. The Ten Tails body, the outer path demon statue is hidden here. Obviously, the members of the Akatsuki organization don't know what this big guy can be used for. Ha, you are also an intern in the organization. Just as Uehara was in a daze, a funny voice came out. A hand patted Uhura's left shoulder, but when Uehara Naraku turned his head, he saw nothing. Then, Uehara felt someone patted his right shoulder as well. Apparently, that person ran to the right again. This is a very old but boring prank. If this person is also an intern of Akatsuki, then he must be Uchiha Obito, Uehara Naraku's future colleague, and his rival in the competition for the mastermind behind the scenes. Uehara Naraku frowned, clasped his hands together, and activated his skill instantly. Lightning release, 10,000 Thunder Prison Induction. New book, please recommend and collect. Chapter 3 The First Meeting of the 3 Movie Stars. 10,000 Thunder's Prison. Or thunderstorm suddenly appeared beside Uehara Naraku, and a bolt of lightning fell in an instant, and that bolt of lightning quickly struck the man behind him. Wow, it hurts. The man standing behind Uehara Naraku did not take any measures, but let the lightning fall on him, shaking his body from side to side. The wooden mask on the man's face was also smoking, and the red cloud and black robe uniform on his body also had traces of being burned by lightning, and even small sparks were flying. The first impression of this guy should be that he is an idiot with an IQ of only 2, and there is no threat at all. He is useful to bring some joy to people. However, anyone who thinks so will be wrong, because he has been bringing pain to the people of the ninja world. That is enough to make them mentally collapse. Uehara Naraku raised his head, narrowed his eyes slightly, and stared at the masked man in front of him. The days to come may not be particularly boring. However, he can't relax too much. But the next moment, Uehara Naraku's face immediately became solemn because he saw a young man in a tight uniform standing not far from the masked man. The young man had tear troughs on his face and wore a vortex-shaped ninja forehead protector on his head. His face was full of seriousness, and it seemed that he had been well educated. Uehara Naraku's face was a little ugly. Is this Uchiha Itachi from the Anbu period? No, since he appeared in the Akatsuki organization, it proves that he is no longer a Konoha Anbu ninja, but an S-level rebel ninja who killed his entire clan and fled Konoha. Compared with other S-level rebel ninjas, Uchiha Itachi's methods are more fierce. Kakuzu only killed all the high-level people of Takigakure village. Takigakure village is just a vassal ninja village of Konoha, and there are not many strong people. Scorpion of the Red Sand only killed a third-generation Kazukage, which is not surprising. The Kazukage always plays a role of being killed. Uchiha Itachi, on the other hand, killed all his own people. That is a bloodline ninja clan that has been passed down for thousands of years, and the Sharingan Uchiha has always been known as the first powerful clan in the ninja world. Hey, kid, be a little more respectful to me, the intern senior. The masked man pointed at Uehara Naraku angrily, but when he saw Uehara's gaze, he immediately raised his thumb and pointed at the young man behind him. The masked man laughed and said, "Hey, I have recruited a powerful member for the organization. He will soon leave his intern status and become a formal member." Even when he was angry, the masked man still acted crazy in front of Uehara Naraku, without any intention of revealing another hidden identity. After saying this, the masked man introduced proudly, "Do you know who he is? Although he is about the same age as you, he has killed the entire Uchiha clan, and his strength is enough to become a formal member of the organization." Uehara Naraku looked at the masked man, as if he was looking at an idiot. How could he have the nerve to perform such exaggerated acting in front of him and Uchiha Itachi? Does this guy really think his acting is excellent? Uehara Naraku standing in front of him, and Uchiha Itachi standing behind him. These two are both people who can compete for the best actor. Well, the masked man's acting skills are also excellent. Uehara Naraku has just gained the trust of Conan, and perhaps also the trust of Pain. Uchiha Itachi played with his younger brother in the palm of his hand, and did not reveal any clues until the end of the Pacific War. The masked man hid until the future 4th Ninja World War, and his identity had never been discovered before his mask was knocked off. Even if someone doubted his identity, it would be refuted by more people. If Uehara Naraku didn't know his true face, it would probably only guess that his identity was a person like Uchiha Raizuna. It's really interesting. 3 people who are confident that they can compete for the best actor level are now competing with each other in acting skills, trying to think that they can hide it from each other. To be honest, it feels a bit silly. One day, I must reveal their identities and let everyone be honest. The masked man suddenly patted Uehara's shoulder and beckoned him affectionately. "Kid, do you want to spar with Uchiha Itachi? If you can kill him, you will definitely be able to take his position as an official member." Uehara Naraku looked at the masked man, as if he was looking at an idiot. "Since you want to become an official member so much, why don't you kill him and take his place?" Ha 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 ha. Of course it's because. After the masked man laughed for a long time, he said his answer dejectedly, "My strength is too weak, and it is very likely that he will kill me. But my strength is also weak." Uehara Naraku blinked his eyes, his expression somewhat innocent. According to his current strength, unless he can summon the Justice Colossus Galio, it will be quite difficult to defeat the S-level rebels of the Akatsuki organization. If Uehara Naraku uses chakra sparingly, he can use skills more than a dozen times, and it is estimated that there will be no problem to fight against Biwajuzo or something like that. But facing an all-round proficient Uchiha Itachi, it is not easy to say. He is proficient in ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu and eye techniques, which makes his fighting style extremely diverse. The most troublesome thing is that this guy has a high IQ. He will not be careless when facing any enemy. He will carefully crack the enemy's technique and take a counter-attack fighting style. Then you can only blame yourself for being too weak. The masked man spread his palms and turned his head to look at the young man behind him. "Hey, Itachi, if you want to gain a foothold in the organization, then kill someone. The interns and the organization are not protected. The 13-and-a-half-year-old Uchiha Itachi glanced at the masked man, then slowly looked at Uehara Naraku, and finally nodded, and drew the ninja sword behind him. He was brought in by the masked man. In Uchiha Itachi's impression, the masked man claimed to be Uchiha Madara, a mysterious and powerful man who assisted him in slaughtering the entire Uchiha clan not long ago, and introduced him to join the Akatsuki organization. The masked man mentioned on the way that Akatsuki was his organization, and this in turn should also be the person he wanted to eliminate. Previously, their agreement had just been reached. The masked man agreed not to attack Konoha or harm Sasuke in exchange for his joining the Akatsuki organization. Now, the masked man's implicit meaning is nothing more than wanting him to help find trouble with another intern in the organization. It doesn't matter. As long as this guy abides by the agreement, Uchiha Itachi doesn't mind helping him solve small troubles. Interesting. Uehara Naraku glanced at Uchiha Itachi holding the ninja sword, and remembered that there were 2 side quests. Defeat Uchiha Itachi once, 0/1, the reward is unknown. Defeat the mysterious masked man once, 0/1, the reward is unknown. Uchiha Itachi slowly closed his eyes and nodded to Uehara Naraku to express his apology. Sorry, I have a reason to do this. As soon as the voice fell, his figure disappeared on the spot. Chapter 4. Experience the power of Sharingan. So fast. Uchiha Itachi appeared behind Uehara Naraku in an instant, waving the ninja sword in his hand and slashing at Uehara's neck mercilessly. He seemed to be very familiar with it, as if he had killed hundreds of people. Lightning release. 10,000 Thunder Prison. Even though Uehara Naraku had not yet discovered Uchiha Itachi's trace, it did not stop him from activating 10,000 Thunder Prison, a skill that can be used for both defense and offense. Fortunately, the time they had discussed before was just enough for the skill to cool down. A group of thundercloud storms appeared above Uehara Naraku, and a bolt of lightning struck down, forcing Uchiha Itachi to use the substitution technique to dodge. Countless lightning bolts wandered back and forth in the thundercloud storm, and it seemed that they could fall again at any time. After leaving the range of the 10,000 Thunder Prison, Uchiha Itachi frowned. This guy. He can release a powerful lightning ninjutsu with just one seal. Are all the interns in the Akatsuki organization such monsters? Pa 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 pa. The masked man clapped his hands vigorously, exclaiming, wow 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 wow. It's really super exciting. Whether it's Itachi's substitute technique or the kid's lightning ninjutsu, it looks really super powerful. Idiot. Uehara Naraku finally couldn't help but curse inwardly. Such an exaggerated way of praising people really doesn't have any sincerity at all. Looking at Uchiha Itachi's position, 4 cards suddenly appeared in Uehara Naraku's hand and shot towards him. Swish. The harsh sound of metal friction rang out. It was seen that the ninja sword in Uchiha Itachi's hand blocked 4 cards in succession. Those cards seemed to be made of steel and were unusually sharp. My cards are not something that ordinary people can play, Uehara Naraku said with a chuckle. His eyes lowered, and as his voice fell, a burst of explosions suddenly came out. One of the cards exploded instantly. Uchiha Itachi fell backwards and flew out, half kneeling on the ground. The Konoha rebel ninja was a little embarrassed at the moment, because he had just used the substitution technique. Even if he reacted in time, he was still affected by the explosion. Well. So scary. The masked man nervously put his legs together, holding his head with both hands, looking almost scared to death. A card is actually more powerful than the explosive talisman. It's too scary. It should have a lot of chakra attached to it. Uchiha Itachi lowered his head in thought, half knelt on the ground, and looked up at Uehara Naraku. Isn't the strength of this organization too strong? Although he hasn't fought with all his strength, the 2 techniques mastered by this intern are so powerful that he should have at least the combat power of a Jonin level. A 12-year-old Jonin? Uchiha Itachi closed his eyes, then slowly opened them, revealing a fierce light. His eyeballs had turned red, and 3 black magatama were printed around them. Whoosh. Uehara could almost hear the sound of the wind. He didn't look directly at Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan, but just looked at the moment when his toes disappeared. The loud explosion just now should have attracted Conan and Bean. Otherwise, he could only try to use gold coins to buy some rare things from the system. That could be enough to win. Anyway, his main purpose was to get the skill reward, and he wanted to take the opportunity to show his strength. This organization has always had no moral integrity in attracting powerful members. Oh, this kid, he actually knows how to deal with the Sharingan? It's really amazing. The masked man was chirping and explaining the battle next to him, which really made Uehara a little impatient. If he didn't need to be wary of Uchiha Itachi's surprise attack, Uehara would definitely find a way to give him a ruthless move. Fire style, great fireball technique. A huge flaming fireball burst out towards Uehara Naraku. The signature fire style of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Itachi, as a child of destiny, naturally used his hands to make it, and a great fireball was released as soon as he opened his mouth. It must be said that Uchiha Itachi's hand seals were very fast. He formed 6 hand seals in 1 second, and released the great fireball technique in 1 second. Uehara Naraku's hand seals were even faster. Uehara Naraku symbolically closed his hands and released the defensive skill without hesitation. Wind barrier. The flaming fireball fell on a wind wall and dissipated into nothingness, leaving only the air that was heated by the flames. Whether it was the masked man or Uchiha Itachi, their minds were a little heavy because Uehara Naraku released the ninjutsu with another hand seal. But Uchiha Itachi did not give up this opportunity. Almost instantly, this traitor appeared behind Uehara Naraku and swung his ninja sword fiercely. Is it coming? A small magic ball appeared in Uehara Naraku's palm. According to his guess, Uchiha Itachi was definitely using the great fireball to launch a feint attack. After all, that was a ninjutsu that never killed people in anime. Command shockwave. The space around Uehara Naraku was instantly distorted. A gravitational force attracted Uchiha Itachi's figure to his side, and even the dizziness of the distorted space made Uchiha Itachi unable to fight back. Uehara Naraku did not hesitate, pinched Uchiha Itachi's neck with one hand, and pressed him to the ground. You lost. If he did not use his palm, but directly use the card to cut off Uchiha Itachi's neck, he would definitely be able to kill him. But this was not Uehara's purpose. Uchiha Itachi, although the core is a Konoha spy, is actually a model worker of the Akatsuki organization. It would be a waste to kill him here. What's more, if he really used the card, Uchiha Itachi might open Susanoo to resist. There was a ding in Uehara's mind. He subconsciously thought that the first side quest was completed, but he saw that a side quest that was closed in a corner was completed. Mission completed. Defeat Uchiha Itachi once. 1/1. Reward gold coins plus 100. What a joke. There are people who would make such a sadistic wish. No, the key now is that he obviously has the advantage. Why does the system think he has lost? You lost. Uchiha Itachi's eyes finally reflected in Uehara Naraku's eyes, and the 3 black Magatama Sharingan were fascinating, and he couldn't help but fall into it. Even though he was caught off guard and pulled down by the command shockwave, Uchiha Itachi still found an opportunity to counterattack in this situation. Although he didn't know why Uehara Naraku showed mercy, it didn't delay his decisiveness. Only by controlling the enemy can we get the final victory. Uehara Naraku was immediately trapped in an illusion. In his senses, huge copper nails were embedded in his body, making him unable to move. Illusion. Golden binding technique. But in Uehara Naraku's mind, another side quest that was thrown into a corner when he traveled to the ninja world was finally completed. Mission completed. Experience the power of the Sharingan once. 1/1. Reward. Life form disintegration ray. Life form disintegration ray. Release a powerful ray through both eyes to analyze the enemy's life characteristics and disintegrate the enemy's body. It lasts for 2.5 seconds. The chakra value is related to the duration, with a minimum of 100 chakras and a cooldown of 120 seconds. This skill is indeed very powerful, but the problem is that Uehara must remove the illusion immediately. This is really an unprecedented crisis. He actually made a mistake at this critical moment. Isn't it said that the soul energy of the traveler is strong and can resist illusions? How should the illusion be removed now? Just when Uehara Naraku was about to use the life disintegration ray to attack indiscriminately, someone slapped him on the head and helped him remove the illusion in this way of beating a child. What are you doing? Today is also a day to ask for recommendation votes. During the new book period, please don't wait for it to get on the list. Chapter 5 I want a uniform too. Conan interrupted their fight. The light blue haired woman grabbed Uehara Naraku's collar and put him beside her and said in a cold voice, "What are you doing?" Uehara Naraku breathed a sigh of relief. After seeing the members of Akatsuki come out, he pointed at the masked man and Uchiha Itachi and put a big hat on him. "Master Conan, these two people want to kill me." "No, no, no." The masked man stepped forward, shook his hands, and explained in an exaggerated voice, "We were just testing the combat power of the organization's interns. I didn't expect that he actually defeated someone who was qualified to become a formal member." Although Uchiha Itachi did not use the Manjaki Sharingan pupil technique in his normal state, Uchiha Itachi's strength was not something that ordinary ninjas could defeat. I didn't expect that this kid relied on his weird techniques to suppress Uchiha Itachi and even had a chance to kill him before Uchiha Itachi used his trump card. If the masked man thought he was not mistaken, the last technique used by the kid was likely to be time and space. He saw that the space was distorted. This kid is really amazing. He can be regarded as a powerful force that can collect tail beasts for Akatsuki. Akatsuki members have been replaced back and forth, and each group has been in a vacant stage. The manpower has never been gathered. Occasionally, some members will exchange their teammates for money. As for the possible threat from Uehara Naraku, the masked man only considered it for a second and chose to give up. This kid doesn't seem to have much bloodline, and his chakra seems to be just a little more. He is not a promising person at all. However, his talent is really good. He can actually develop a ninjutsu that can be released with a seal, but that's all. He knows very well that only with a strong bloodline can he go further. As for Uehara Naraku's way of using space that only distorts space, there is still a certain time delay. As long as you know his intelligence, you can easily avoid it. Just now, Uchiha Itachi was hit by the command shockwave because it was too sudden. If Uchiha Itachi had not hesitated to consume his pupil power at the beginning and directly launch the Manjaki pupil technique, the battle might have ended long ago. But fortunately, he didn't do so. Otherwise, the Akatsuki organization might lose a powerful fighting force in the future, and it might also cause Conan's disgust. Conan's eyes were slightly puzzled. She looked down at Uehara Naraku who was standing beside her, touched his hair, and asked aloud, "Is this true?" It was a bit unbelievable. How could a boy of 12 or 13 years old, still a wandering ninja, have the strength to fight against the official members of Akatsuki? However, at the meeting just now, Zetsu mentioned a piece of information that Uehara seemed to be a very talented child. Some are true and some are false. Uehara Naraku's face was extremely serious. He stared closely at Uchiha Itachi who stood up and whispered, "I use the secret technique I studied to fight him, but this guy didn't take it seriously at all. His Sharingan is very strong." Uehara Naraku thought for a while and continued to add, "After he used the Sharingan, I immediately fell into an illusion and couldn't break free at all. I know. It is indeed easy for ordinary ninjas to fall into disadvantages when facing bloodline ninjas. Especially the Uchiha clan. There is a rumor that they are invincible one-on-one." Xiaonan nodded and believed what he said. When she first met Uehara Naraku, she had doubted his identity and who sent him as a spy. But at the meeting, Zetsu provided them with information about Uehara Naraku. The little guy's father was indeed a ninja named Uehara Uehara, whose hometown was in a small village in the Land of Rain. Zetsu also found out about Uehara Uehara. That person was an ordinary member of the first generation of Akatsuki. Uehara Naraku has always lived in the small village of his father's hometown. Occasionally, he would claim to be a ninja to take on some tasks from the villagers. He did not leave the small village until his mother passed away more than a month ago. Since there is no problem with his identity, everything is not a problem. Xiaonan gently patted Uehara Naraku on the shoulder and said, "Naraku, go and rest first. We still have something to discuss with Mr. Uchiha Itachi. Anyway, 12 years old is too young. When they were 12 years old, they had no choice but to survive. Now that Akatsuki has the conditions, they will raise the next generation of the organization well." "Wait." Zetsu interrupted Xiaonan and said with a sinister smile, "Xiaonan, I think this little guy can become a formal member of the organization." Uehara Naraku's father died while protecting Xiaonan. The murderer was the root of Konoha, the team led by Shimura Dunzo, the Hokage of Konoha. Now it seems that his talent is not bad. As long as he is guided a little and allowed to fall into darkness, he will become an excellent fighting force. He is too young, his fighting ability is a bit poor, right? Xiaonan refuted. She had other plans for Uehara. A woman's feelings are inherently softer than men. Xiaonan wanted to hide the dark things of the Akatsuki organization for a while. But his fighting ability is not bad. Juju disagreed with her opinion, and his smile was a little cold. And if I remember correctly, the new member we welcomed today should be only 13 years old, right? Yes, Uchiha Itachi is only 13 years old this year. It must be said that people in the ninja world are too precocious. What's the big deal about participating in battle at the age of 12? At the age of 4, Uchiha Itachi followed his father to watch the Ninja World War and took the life of an Iwagakure ninja on the battlefield. After thinking for a moment, Pin said, "Conan, let him join." Even with the addition of Uchiha Itachi, there is still a vacancy in the organization. Conan suddenly lowered his head and whispered, "Pin, we are about to attack the Hidden Rain village to avenge them. I want Naraku to participate as well." Pin's brows were furrowed, and the samurai in his eyes hesitated a little, but he finally nodded and accepted his friend's opinion. Over the years, he has been hiding the development of the samurai's pupil technique, just to wait for revenge on Hanzo, the leader of the Hidden Rain village. Now, Pin's 6 paths has been completed, and it's time to go to the Hidden Rain village and taste the fruits of revenge. Originally, there were only him and Conan who wanted revenge, but now there is one more, which is good. Then, Zetsu will be responsible for continuing to find suitable personnel for Kakuzu. Pin glanced at everyone present, and his eyes stopped on Uchiha Itachi. He had already known the information about Uchiha Itachi. In Pin's cognition, this was a cruel young man, a man who killed his own people. He must have a lot of pain and darkness. After Pin and Uchiha Itachi had a brief conversation, he took out a ring from his sleeve. "Welcome to join Akatsuki. Your code name is Suzaku. From today on, you are Uchiha Itachi of Akatsuki, and in the future, you will act under the name of Akatsuki." Uchiha Itachi nodded slowly, stretched out his hand to take the ring, took off his ninja forehead guard, and scratched a neat mark on it with a kunai. Konoha's vortex forehead guard seemed to be a mirror, reflecting Uchiha Itachi's somewhat hideous cheeks. I don't know what he thought of when he looked at the forehead guard. Uehara Naraku stood beside Xiaonan and watched all this. He suddenly raised his head and said, "When you give him his uniform later, can you give me one?" Chapter 6 The Boy Carrying the Light of Dawn. The school uniform of Akatsuki is quite handsome. Perhaps it was because Uehara Naraku's acting was too exaggerated that Conan didn't want him to be contaminated by the darkness of Akatsuki and wanted him to have a bright future. Uehara Naraku didn't get new clothes, so he could only look at Uchiha Itachi wearing the red cloud and black robe with a little envy. Conan glanced at the envious boy and ruffled his hair. "Naraku, your future will be bright. Actually, it's good like this." Uehara curled his lips and muttered casually. However, when he saw Conan took out 2 bottles of purple nail polish and handed them to Uchiha Itachi, his face couldn't help but twitch. Does the Makup of Akatsuki have to be so heavy? Do men also have to wear nail polish? Xiaonan looked at Uchiha Itachi calmly taking the nail polish and suddenly said to him, "Uchiha Itachi, stay away from Uehara in the future. If I see anyone trying to hurt him, I will not show mercy." Uchiha Itachi lowered his head and glanced at Uehara Naraku standing next to Xiaonan and nodded his head slightly. "Senior Xiaonan, reasonable fighting can also make children grow faster." The masked man standing next to Uchiha Itachi looked at Uehara with interest and said, "It feels that this kid's card throwing is very similar to Senior Xiaonan's paper escape secret technique. Could it be Senior Xiaonan's younger brother or something?" The light blue-haired woman frowned, neither answering nor denying, and drove them out, saying, "If you have nothing to do, you can leave." Okay, let's go. I'm going to buy meatballs." The masked man hugged his head and whistled away. As for Uchiha Itachi, he had just joined the organization and would temporarily live in the organization's secret base, waiting for Pin to assign him to which combat team. Because of what the masked man said just now, Xiaonan suddenly became interested in Uehara Naraku's ability. She also wanted to know how Uehara's current strength could tie with a well-trained Konoha rebel ninja in a sparring match. When Xiaonan saw the card in Uehara Naraku's hand, she reached out to take it and looked down at the pattern on the card. It was a red king. Is this a card used in the casino? Xiaonan's face turned slightly cold. She looked at Uehara with a little dissatisfaction and said coldly, "Are you addicted to gambling?" "No." The boy spread his hands and explained, "Because my family couldn't afford shuriken when I was a child, I could only practice shuriken throwing with cheap cards. Now I'm used to it, and I have also developed a technique that can use cards to fight. It's hard to explain except this. After all, the card master's throwing technique is still quite practical. Apart from anything else, the effect of the card explosion alone is equivalent to the power of the detonating talisman explosion. Is that so? Naraku, you will be my disciple from now on." Konan spread out her palms, and pieces of origami floated out of her palms, turning into paper butterflies, fluttering around them. Konan manipulated a paper butterfly to land on her fingertips and whispered, "My paper escape technique is similar to your cards in nature, and I can teach you many ways to fight with paper. Not only to teach him to grow, but also to pass on the will of Akatsuki." Uehara Naraku was a little dazed. Was there any misunderstanding in this matter? With his strength, did he still need a teacher? But if he wanted to continue to stay in the Akatsuki organization, it seemed inappropriate for him to refuse Konan. Then, "Please take care of me, Lord Konan." Another strange side quest popped up in Uehara Naraku's mind. He had not read them carefully. Mission completed. Become Konan's disciple. 1/1. Gold coins plus 150. With just this little money, do you think he is a beggar? According to Uehara Naraku's understanding of the system's side quests, he barely understood the system's operating mechanism. The more popular the task is, the richer the reward will be for completing it. Konan squatted in front of Uehara Naraku, helping him tidy up his clothes, and his voice gradually softened. "Naraku, from now on, call me teacher." "Yes, Teacher Konan." Uehara Naraku blinked his eyes and followed suit. In fact, Konan didn't have any talent for being a teacher. This woman thought about it and didn't know what ninjutsu to teach Uehara in the first class. She decided to rely on the teaching method of her previous teacher and conduct a combat test. Although Konan's teacher was a Konoha ninja, she did not go through any bell snatching test, but worked together with her teammates to defeat the teacher's shadow clone. Obviously, she also planned to do so. Konan lifted the hair on her forehead and explained softly, "In a few days, I will test you and let my paper clone fight with you to decide which ninjutsu to teach you and whether you can participate in our next mission." "Mission?" "Yes." Konan nodded, put her hand on Uehara's shoulder, and whispered, "Our mission to avenge the former members of Akatsuki and your father. I don't want you to live in hatred, but I think you still need to know these things, because some things should not be sealed in time." Uehara Naraku nodded awkwardly. In fact, he knew all those things, and even the truth he knew was more, deeper, and farther than what Konan and Nagato saw. So, is it time to test his acting skills again? Konan's face slowly darkened. His expression gradually became a little cold. He said word by word, 12 years ago, the people who killed the other members of Akatsuki were Hanzo Salamander, the leader of the Hidden Rain village, and Danzo Shimura, a high-ranking member of the Konoha village. What? Uehara Naraku showed a hint of surprise on his face. So, are we going to attack Konoha, or Hidden Rain village? When Pain heard this, he walked over and stood beside them and said in a deep voice, "Konan, tell him the mission directly. Uehara Naraku must participate in this mission. This is his destiny." No, Naraku's strength may be dangerous to participate. Konan had a head-on conflict with Pain for the first time. I must test him first to ensure that he can survive the mission. If he dies in this mission, it is because his strength is too weak, and he does not deserve to survive in this world. Pain. Konan suddenly raised her head, looked at him fearlessly for a while, finally lowered her head and said softly, "I still remember what Jiraiya taught. Young children are the sparks of the future, and Naraku is the only one." This was the first time she had disobeyed Pain's will since Yahiko died in battle. This kind of thing had not happened for a long time. The appearance of this young man was like a ray of light, illuminating their past. From then on, Konan knew that she still had a responsibility on her shoulders. She wanted to let the will of the dawn that once wanted to illuminate the ninja world be inherited by Uehara Naraku. The orange-haired man was silent for a while, turned and left, leaving only one sentence in the rain: "It's up to you. We have been preparing for this war for 12 years. The participation of a little kid has no effect on the outcome." Chapter 7. Defeating the paper clone. The lake was calm. The ninja stepped on the lake, creating ripples. Uehara Naraku walked onto the lake step by step, followed Conan's footsteps, and slowly stood in his position. After resting for 2 days, he officially tested him today. I don't know what Pain is thinking. He was a little unhappy with Conan's decision 2 days ago, but today he came to watch the battle between the master and the apprentice. Conan closed her eyes, clasped her palms, and whispered, "Naraku, don't be careless thinking that this is just a test. My paper clone is not weak." Conan's voice gradually became lower. Countless origami floated out of her body. These origami flew in the air and gathered into a human shape, forming a paper clone that could match the original body. This paper clone is different from the ordinary shadow clone technique. Although the ordinary shadow clone technique is also a physical body, it will be forced to disband once it is hit by an attack. The paper clone is very different. When Conan's paper clone is attacked, it can even be divided into smaller pieces of paper and fly far away to reunite. In addition, the paper clone can also release any ninjutsu that Conan can use. Even an ordinary piece of paper, under the control of her chakra, has a sharpness that does not belong to shuriken, not to mention the countless detonating tags hidden in the paper. It's a pity that, if I can't even defeat a paper clone. Uehara Naraku raised his head, and a smile appeared on the corner of the boy's mouth, appearing very confident. Then I'm too useless, right? He worked hard for a month to accumulate the chakra given by the goddess's tears, and only then did he have the chakra of the Jonin level. He lost to Uchiha Itachi before, because he was too careless, and fell into the illusion of the Sharingan, and Conan ended the battle. Now, Uehara knows Conan's information. Whether it is her ninjutsu or her shortcomings, Uehara Naraku knows it clearly in his heart, plus those special skills. If they still can't defeat Conan's paper clone, he will eat the cards in his hand on the spot. That'll have to wait until the test is over. Conan's paper clone stepped on the lake and rushed towards Uehara Naraku, reminding him loudly, "Naraku, it's time to officially start." Paper shuriken. Dozens of pieces of paper flew over. The sharpness of the paper shuriken was almost the same as that of the iron ones, and the flying speed and throwing angle could even be more bizarre. Uehara Naraku held 4 cards in each hand and threw them quickly in the direction of the paper shuriken. Boom. Boom. 8 cards flew out, and 2 of them automatically gained chakra enhancement cards and exploded instantly, changing the direction of the paper shuriken. The other 6 cards flew towards Conan. Well done. The water surface rippled again. Conan was very satisfied with Uehara Naraku's way of dealing with the paper shuriken. The folded paper behind her paper clone overlapped and gathered into a pair of wings, driving her body into the air to avoid the card attack, and once again launched an attack with the help of the wings. Shiki paper dance. Paper rain. Pieces of origami turned into densely packed sharp blades of paper, which shot obliquely towards Uehara Naraku's position, making it impossible for people on the ground to hide. Wind barrier. Uehara Naraku symbolically closed his palms and made a hand seal. A wind wall floated on the water surface, blocking the attack of the paper rain. But the crisis has not been resolved yet. Even if the wind barrier can block for a few seconds, it is impossible to block it forever. Conan's paper rain is recyclable, and she releases paper rain almost endlessly. The wind wall slowly disappeared. The paper rain attacked Uehara again. Uehara Naraku dodged to the side and avoided another wave of paper rain, but this could not resolve the crisis at all. Is that the only trick I can use? Uehara Naraku clenched his fists suddenly, and the chakra in his body flowed rapidly. His toe stepped on the water surface and flew into the air out of thin air, avoiding the dense paper rain. It was the flying skill of flying dance. Naraku can actually fly? Conan frowned immediately. Flying skills are not uncommon, but it was unexpected that he could fly into the sky out of thin air. The next moment, Conan saw Uehara rushing towards her. Very fast. Conan's paper clone quickly stopped the rain of paper shooting down, and countless papers overlapped to form a paper spear, which shot towards Uehara. However, Uehara Naraku's movements in the air were surprisingly flexible, even the same as on the ground, and he dodged the paper spear with a flash. Can the body be so flexible in the air? The woman's brows were first furrowed, and then relaxed. This little guy Naraku can't be underestimated. Bang! The two finally fought in close combat. But Uehara's physical skills were a bit poor. Even if he could move freely in the air, he couldn't beat Conan in physical skills. There was nothing he could do about it. His life energy was only over 600, and his life energy was linked to his physical fitness, strength and speed. Judging from the data alone, it was almost the value of a Chunin. But it doesn't matter. As long as he rushes to Xianin's side, the battle will be over, right? Thunderstorms have begun to accumulate around him. Thunder release. 10,000 thunder prison induction. Thunderstorms continuously dropped lightning, splitting the paper clones in front of him into pieces of origami. Some of the origami even had lightning flowing on them. This scene surprised Uehara. Only on origami with water stains can lightning appear. But these wet papers have the function of conducting electricity, so it is almost impossible to be destroyed by lightning. Teacher Conan, did you soak the paper clone in water in advance? Yes. Conan nodded, and did not deny. If you don't do this, my paper clone will find it difficult to resist the fire escape ninjutsu. Uehara Naraku helplessly supported his forehead. Conan actually used the soaked origami to guide the lightning. Countless origami flew to the other side, and formed Conan's body again. He said softly, Naraku, except for the sticky oil, it is difficult for other techniques to completely destroy my paper clone. If you have no other way, you can't be allowed to participate in that dangerous mission. I see, then I can only use another secret technique. The boy nodded and looked at Conan seriously, with a mess of hand seals in his hands. He has always been Uehara symbolic seal Naraku, because his skills are all instant, and the seal is just a means of confusion. Conan looked at this scene, and took it seriously. But she did not stop Uehara from doing that. The competition between master and disciple should allow the disciple to show his true strength, right? And Conan also wanted to see what kind of powerful ninjutsu this disciple who could get whatever he wanted by clapping his hands would release when he suddenly made such a serious hand seal. Life form disintegration ray. After Uehara Naraku made a mess of hand seals, he finally suddenly closed his palms and looked at Conan's paper clone with his eyes. A purple energy surged out in an instant. After being attacked by the purple energy, Conan's paper clone didn't even have time to split again, and it disappeared in an instant, turning into nothingness. At the same time, Uehara Naraku's brain rang again, and another strange side quest was completed. Mission completed. Defeat the Angel of Dawn Conan once, 1/1, and be rewarded with the Angel skill moment of Holy Judgment. Please vote for recommendation. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Pain cares about his members. The Holy Judgment, a skill of an angel descending. After Naraku Uehara noticed the effect of the Holy Judgment skill, he finally felt a little relieved. He no longer had to worry about his instant death. The Holy Judgment, add an invincible shield to yourself or others, which lasts for 3 seconds. At the same time, a purifying blade will appear around the invincible person, which will cause great damage to the surrounding area. Chakra consumption is related to the duration. The skill consumes a minimum of 100 chakra points and has a cooldown of 160 seconds. Naraku. Conan's main body waved at Naraku Uehara in the air and waited until he landed before asking, "Hey, Naraku, was that technique a bloodline limit just now?" The power of the life disintegrating energy ray was stronger than she had imagined. When the purple energy first came into contact with the paper clone, it didn't feel very good, but before even a second had passed, a burning pain came out of the body. It was like wiping the body out. Well, I don't know. Uehara Naraku shook his head and immediately pushed the question away. I'm not sure if it's ninjutsu or bloodline. If my father is still alive, I can ask him if our family has any more unique bloodline. Konan shook her head and didn't continue to ask. Perhaps it's because there are too many strange ninjutsu in the Akatsuki organization, such as Kakuzu's Earth Grudge, Scorpion's Eternal Human Puppet and so on. However, Peen stepped forward and said in a cold voice, his physical skills are too bad, even worse than yours, Konan. This will become a fatal flaw in battle. Konan. Peen discredited both of them in one sentence. And before, Peen was still saying that no matter how strong Uehara Naraku is, he must participate in the mission of Akatsuki's revenge war. Why is he being picky now? But what Peen said does make sense. Uehara Naraku's physical skills are full of mistakes and omissions. Even she, a ninja who is not very good at physical skills, can see it. Uehara Naraku is a little scratching his head. His physical skills are indeed a bit poor, but as long as the life energy values are superimposed in the future, it will naturally improve. Okay. Peen glanced at Uehara Naraku, then turned to look at Konan. Now you have also tested it. His strength is enough to participate in that mission. Uehara Naraku looked up and looked at the light blue-haired woman obediently. Teacher Konan, what mission are we going to participate in then? Attack the Uin stronghold, force Hanzo of the Salamander to summon his confidants, and finally kill them all. When Konan mentioned the name of that person, her face turned cold. 12 years ago, Hanzo of the Salamander, who was hailed as a demigod of the ninja, broke his promise, colluded with Shimura Danzo of Konoha, and killed the leader and most of the members of Akatsuki. Everything that happened that day, she remembered it in her heart day and night. The Akatsuki organization, which was originally thought to be on the road to light, was destroyed overnight. Except for her and Nagato, everyone else was killed. Among them was Yahiko, the leader of Akatsuki. That was their companion who grew up together. He led her and Nagato to survive the terrible war, and led those who trusted him to pursue the dream of peace. He did not die on the way to stop the war, but died in that conspiracy, leaving a huge shadow in the minds of the two best friends. In addition, Nagato's legs were also injured by the detonation tag, and he lost his ability to move since then. He even reached an agreement with the two evil guys, leading the Akatsuki organization on a terrifying road. For revenge and commemoration, Nagato chose to keep Yahiko's body, and made him the strongest of the 6 paths of pain, making the current heavenly path of pain the eternal leader of the Akatsuki organization. 12 years. Konan and Nagato injured for 12 years. When the 6 paths of pain were completely completed, they had a little confidence, and decided to go to the Hidden Rain village for revenge. Since it was revenge, it should not be interfered with by others. But who would have thought that they wanted to go to the old place to reminisce before attacking the Hidden Rain village, and they happened to meet another boy who should join them in revenge. Uehara Naraku lowered his head and thought, there should be no problem with their attack on the Hidden Rain village this time. According to the strength of 6 paths pain, it is not difficult to take down the Salamander Hanzo. In other words, this is a pure soy sauce trip. The main purpose is to complete several tasks. For example, a series of tasks that Uehara Naraku has always ignored. Advanced Task 1, kill 10 wandering ninjas, 10 tenths, reward 100 life energy, 100 chakra energy, task completed. Advanced Task 2, kill 10 official genin, 3 tenths, reward unknown. According to Uehara's guess, the future tasks should be a series of genin, chunin and jonin, and maybe there will be cage level figures in the end. Well, it is estimated that there will definitely be. According to his current strength, he is helpless in the face of cage level strongmen, and according to the nature of the tasks issued by the system, those cage level strongmen must be cages of the 5 major ninja villages, not rebel ninjas like Kakuzu. Now, Uehara Naraku's only hope is that the system's future advanced tasks are preferably some ordinary jonin, rather than jonin with bugs, like Might Guy and Kakashi, which would be a bit life-threatening. If you just want to improve your strength, you must do the advanced tasks. Uehara Naraku estimates that these tasks are free life energy and chakra energy. The rewards should not be too low. At the beginning of Uehara Naraku's time travel, he had encountered some wandering ninjas with not very strong strength. Relying on his few skills, it was more than enough to kill them. However, most of the formal genin have their own ninja villages, and they still move in groups. Even Uehara and Naraku, during those wandering days, only encountered a group of Iwagakure that was rampant in the rain country. If you want to complete the number of advanced tasks, you must find a ninja gathering place. There is no more suitable place than the ninja village. It is rare to be able to complete a large number of advanced tasks at one time, thereby greatly strengthening your own strength. During the following preparation time, Uehara and Naraku felt that the situation was a little weird. According to the information he knew about the Naruto world, Nagato would stop in when he didn't need to use them to save his chakra. Who would have thought that during the period before the war, Pain not only did not return to where he should be, but instead frequently appeared in the place where he and Konan were practicing, criticizing Uehara and Naraku who was training in physical skills, and asking a lot of questions. Your arm strength is too weak, not enough to defeat the enemy. Your leg speed is too slow, which will allow the enemy to catch your flaws. Too bad, Kit, are you using your fists to tickle the enemy? The orange-haired man stood at the edge of the training ground, and from time to time he opened his mouth to judge a few words, which really damaged the image of the Tendo Pin who came with his own background music. Uehara and Naraku couldn't refute it. Konan couldn't stand it a little, and argued aloud. Pin, Naraku is only 12 years old, he is still very young now, and he still has a long time to grow. I just care about the members of the organization. The orange-haired man argued convincingly, and it seemed a matter of course. Chapter 9 If you want to escape, you have to ask me, right? Uehara and Naraku was forced to train in physical skills for a week, and his life energy increased by 3 points. This efficiency is so low that it makes people feel distressed. Fortunately, this training will not be continued soon. The civil war in the Hidden Rain village will soon begin. No one would have thought that only the combination of the 6 paths of pain, Konan and Uehara and Naraku would overthrow the rule of Hands of the Salamander. The main force of the war is only Konan and Uehara and Naraku for the time being. Due to Nagato's physical disability, Pain cannot continue to fight for a long time, so Konan and Uehara will be the only ones to eliminate the ninja outposts of the Hidden Rain village in the Land of Rain and the Hidden Rain ninja south side, forcing Hands of the Salamander to gather all his strength. As long as Hands of the Salamander summons all the Hidden Rain ninjas to return to the Hidden Rain village to protect themselves, the 6 paths of pain will collectively go out to eliminate the ninjas who gathered to resist them. Those simple and naive boys who were deceived by Hands of the Salamander and Danzo Shimura have finally grown brains. Uehara and Naraku received a mission to clean up a ninja stronghold, as well as a piece of related intelligence. There were 2 ninja teams stationed in that stronghold, with a total of 8 ninjas, including 2 Chunin captains. His mission was to kill 7 of them, deliberately let one of them go, and let the Rain Village ninja pass on the news of the start of the war to the Rain Village. It would be best if it could cause panic in the Rain Village. This is a bit of a test of acting skills. However, since Uehara and Naraku considers himself to be one of the 4 major actors of the Akatsuki organization, and is competing with Black Zetsu, Obito, and Uchiha Itachi for the best actor, what he lacks the most is naturally acting skills. In the eastern part of the Rain country, a stronghold hidden under a cliff, there are 2 Chunin and 6 genin stationed in the cliff stronghold. Their usual tasks are to monitor whether there are large-scale troops entering the country, whether there are stray ninjas, and whether anyone dares to resist Hanzo. The Hidden Rain Chunin Kamakura slowly walked to the entrance of the base, looked at the heavy rain outside, and said in a trance, "Every day is bad weather. I don't know when this damn weather will stop." Bang, 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 bang. A strange sound came in. This sound was not like the sound of the heavy rain. The Hidden Rain Chunin stopped talking and listened carefully to the sound outside. People who grew up in the Rain country can easily distinguish it. It is the sound of rain hitting a bamboo umbrella. Kamakura quickly turned his head and looked at his teammates and quietly signaled to them with his fingers, "There are enemies coming." After all, in such a bad weather like the heavy rain, someone came to the Hidden Rain base inexplicably, so he must not be here to travel, right? Are you ready? A childish and shy voice came from the heavy rain. Just when the rain ninjas were speechless, a purple energy ray cut the entire cliff in half, and heavy rain fell. The rain ninjas ignored the rain on their faces, and looked at the cliffs that were slowly collapsing to both sides. This shocking scene shocked their minds. What kind of technique is this? Just one strike, and the entire cliff was cut in an instant. When the matter came to an end, only Kamakura Chunin still had some reason. He flew behind a rock on the side and reminded loudly, "The enemy is very strong. Everyone pay attention to avoid it." While reminding his subordinates, Kamakura carefully raised his head and observed the enemy who destroyed their stronghold. It was a young ninja holding a bamboo umbrella. Kamakura subconsciously wanted to deny the picture he saw. How could such a powerful enemy look so young? However, this was the fact. Uehara Naraku walked in step by step, looked at the many rain ninjas with a smile, and whispered, "So, can we start? Kid, what is your purpose in coming here?" Kamakura tightly held the kunai in his hand. His nerves were getting tighter and tighter, and he couldn't even tell whether it was rain or sweat on his forehead. "What meaningless nonsense are you talking about?" Uehara Naraku raised his umbrella, revealing his smiling face, but he said, "I came here, of course, to kill you." Obviously, that young face was smiling, but he said bloody words, as if Kamakura saw the devil. This kid must be an out-and-out evil person. "Asshole, kill him." Kamakura rushed up waving the kunai in his hand, calling on his subordinates to swarm up. Under the command of their captain, a group of rain ninjas rushed up with ninja swords, chain blades and shuriken in their hands. Uehara Naraku held his bamboo umbrella, lowered his head and sighed. "Life is so short, why do you still like to take shortcuts?" A golden light flashed and appeared on his body. It was a golden round shield that wrapped him up and blocked the attacks of many ninja tools for him. A golden virtual lightsaber appeared around the protective shield. As Uehara Naraku waved his palm, the lightsaber fell in an instant and pierced the bodies of all the rain ninjas who were close to him. Kamakura was shocked. In his sight, no matter whether it was shuriken, kunai or ninja sword chain blade, they could not pierce the seemingly thin golden light shield, which was simply despairing. The young man killed most of the ninjas in the entire stronghold with a wave of his hand. Now only he and another Chunin are left. Fortunately, the other Chunin did not lose his mind. He quickly formed seals with his hands, and a stream of water shot out. Water style, water wave. Obviously, this sea-level water style ninjutsu did not cause any trouble to the enemy. Uehara Naraku just twisted to avoid the turbulent water. A splash of water suddenly turned into a water whip and entangled Uehara's body. Water style, water whip. Kamakura's hand tightly wrapped around the other side of the water whip. His mind had calmed down. He whispered to his companion, "You go back to the village to report the information here. I will stop him." The other Uian Chunin did not hesitate. After nodding, he quickly ran away. He did not think Kamakura could defeat the boy. But, at least the information here should be sent out. As long as Kamakura Chunin can hold the boy for a while, he can use the heavy rain to blend into the environment and escape from this battlefield. It's not good to abandon your companions and run away like this, right? A card appeared at the fingertips of Uehara Naraku, and it turned deftly on his fingertips. He threw it at the fleeing Yugakure Chunin. It was just a card, but it was sharper than a shuriken. The card flew through the rainstorm and stabbed into the body of the Yugakure Chunin. Then a dull explosion sounded. The escaped Yugakure Chunin was left with no body. Uehara Naraku broke free from the water whip technique with one hand, raised the bamboo umbrella in his hand, looked up at the only remaining Kamakura Chunin. "Even if you want to escape back and report to Hanzo, you should let me choose which one to let go alive, right?" Chapter 10. The teacher taught well. Asshole. Kamakura looked at his last companion who died in battle. In a rage, he punched the ground, and mud mixed with rain splashed on him. Another idiot who wants to challenge Hanzo-sama. Decades ago, Hanzo of the Salamander was praised as a ninja demigod by the ninja world, and became the ninja closest to the first generation of Hokage, the ninja god. Therefore, he also encountered many assassinations and challenges. The ninjas of the Hidden Rain village are used to it. Kamakura has also seen many young men who think they are invincible in the world. After mastering a few ninjutsu, they want to take off Hanzo's head as soon as they enter the Hidden Rain village, but most of them will be killed by Hanzo-sama's right-hand man, Hiji-sama. Kamakura immediately thought that the boy holding a bamboo umbrella in front of him was also an idiot who didn't know how high the sky was and wanted to become famous by defeating Hanzo-sama. Uehara Naraku did not deny it, but walked towards Kamakura Chunin, chuckling, "You only guessed half right. I want to take off Hanzo's head, and I also want to use his head to commemorate those who were killed by him. That old guy, he has lived long enough, right? Asshole. How dare you insult Hanzo? Kamakura gritted his teeth. As a rain-hidden ninja, he absolutely could not tolerate anyone insulting the ninja demigod that they regarded as proud. Just when Uehara Naraku thought that this guy was going to fight for his life, Kamakura quickly threw out the kunai in his hand and put his hands together to seal rain-hidden jutsu. A cloud of smoke rose from the rain. As a ninja from the rain-hidden village, Kamakura was very familiar with how to fight and escape in the rainstorm. This guy wanted to escape. Facing a powerful enemy who killed all the ninjas stationed in the rain-hidden village, Kamakura knew his own strength. That kid easily dealt with 6 genin and 1 chunin, and even during the fight, he didn't even put down the bamboo umbrella in his hand. We must send the information back to the village. Kamakura's figure turned over, using the rising smoke to block Uehara's sight, and he flew and hid in a rock crevice. He had already spotted this location. As an ordinary ninja, once you encounter an enemy that you can't solve, you must try your best to send the enemy's information to the upper level of the village. This is the rule of ordinary ninjas. The rain is getting heavier. The rain-hidden chunin Kamakura didn't dare to make a sound, but just carefully hid in the crack of the rock, listening to the sound of rain hitting the bamboo umbrella gradually getting smaller. Did that boy leave? Kamakura slowly breathed a sigh of relief. He waited for a while, and only after he was completely sure that the boy had left, he carefully stuck his head out and observed the surrounding environment. Except for the splashes of water from the heavy rain, there was no trace of anyone on the ground. Kamakura, the captain of the rain village chunin, finally felt relieved and slowly walked out of the crack between the rocks. Then he noticed that the rain seemed to be a little lighter. The sound of rain hitting the bamboo umbrella came into his ears again. The person hasn't left yet. The boy is still here. Kamakura suddenly raised his head and looked into the sky. There was a dark figure in the sky, floating with a bamboo umbrella, which made Kamakura's eyes shrink unconsciously. That kid, can he fly in the air? Uehara Naraku landed with a bamboo umbrella, so that he could look Kamakura in the eye. He tilted his head and asked, "Hey, even if you want to escape, you should ask for my opinion, right?" Kamakura was so shocked that he couldn't help himself. He stared at the boy with the bamboo umbrella in front of him with wide eyes and just stammered, "You have sensed my position a long time ago." "Yeah." Uehara Naraku nodded, pinched a card in his hand, and inserted it into the Rain Village Ninja forehead protector on Kamakura's forehead. The card was only a thin piece of paper, but it was so sharp that it cut through the Iron Ninja forehead protector and slowly inserted itself in. Kamakura watched his movements with trembling body. Facing an enemy that could not be judged by common sense, he did not dare to move at all. Kamakura could clearly sense a thin and shallow wound on his forehead, and blood flowed down from the gap in the forehead protector bit by bit. Just when Kamakura thought he was going to be killed, Uehara Naraku stopped and whispered, "Okay, remember to tell Hanzo, when you go back, that he escaped 12 years ago, but he can't escape this time." Kamakura murmured woodenly, Why didn't you kill me? Who the hell are you? HMM. Uehara Naraku pondered for a while, raised a finger, and explained seriously, "Maybe, I'm a kind person." If it was more than a month ago, when Uehara Naraku had just arrived in the ninja world, he might have been a kind person, but after living in the rain country, kind people can't survive in the ninja world, so he can only be a different guy. When a person witnesses the world of collapse with his own eyes, the flower of evil will begin to bloom, and the malice hidden in human nature will drive him to become a human being who is difficult to distinguish between good and evil. But, kind? Kamakura couldn't help but lower his head and looked at the bodies of the rain ninjas lying on the ground around him. What kind of kindness is this? Uehara Naraku waved his bamboo umbrella and landed on the ground, step by step walking into the rainstorm. Halfway through, he suddenly stopped, turned around and chuckled. "Instead of killing all of you, it would be better to leave you alone to spread the fear from us to Hanzo. The effect will be better, right? You." Kamakura was terrified. Uehara Naraku waved his hand and said, Go back and tell Hanzo that the Avengers from 12 years ago are coming back to take his life." After that, the boy holding the bamboo umbrella slowly disappeared from Kamakura's sight, leaving a mess. What happened 12 years ago? Kamakura knelt dejectedly in the rain, thinking of an old story in the Hidden Rain village. 12 years ago, Hanzo led many trusted Hidden Rain ninjas to go out on a mission. The specific mission is unknown. However, except for Hanzo, the other Rain ninjas never came back. Since then, Hanzo also issued an order to hunt down the Akatsuki organization, but the Rain ninjas never found any trace of the Akatsuki organization, and the matter eventually came to nothing. Now, are the members of the Akatsuki organization coming for revenge? The rainstorm is getting heavier. Uehara Naraku had just completed his task when he saw pieces of paper wet by the rain fluttering and gathering into a light blue-haired woman. The woman's temples were wet by the rain and stuck tightly to her face. It was his teacher. Conan reached out and took the bamboo umbrella from Uehara Naraku's hand and took him to his side so that the two of them could share a bamboo umbrella to keep out the rain. I saw it all just now. Conan looked down at Uehara Naraku, put his arm around his shoulders, and softly praised the boy next to him. Naraku, you did a good job. No, it's teacher Conan who taught well. Ask for some recommendation votes. Chapter 11 Killing a Salamander. The first mission was executed perfectly. Uehara Naraku was extremely arrogant, which was exactly what Pain wanted. Akatsuki's revenge must be fair and square. He will use his godlike power to destroy the rule, and will have Hanzo Salamander. As two people who regard Hanzo Salamander as their mortal enemy, Conan and Pain know the character of the ninja demigod very well. His cautious and suspicious personality will definitely make him gather all his confidants to protect his safety. No matter how he thought about it, Hanzo Salamander would never have thought that after Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha in the Warring States period, there would be someone who could destroy a ninja village by himself. It was raining continuously. Conan took Uehara Naraku to hide in a cave to avoid the rain. In front of the two was a pile of fire with two grilled fish on it, because neither of them could use fire escape ninjutsu to cook quickly. Conan reached out to stir the grilled fish rack, and then carefully stoked the fire, and whispered, "It will probably take a while. It's okay, I'm not too hungry yet." Uehara Naraku didn't care, just watched her concentrate, and whispered, "Teacher Conan, do you like grilled fish?" The woman fell silent. After a long time, Conan nodded and said, "When Yahiko, Nagato and I were still training under teacher Jiraiya, because the war between the Rain Country and the Wind Country had not yet ended, food was relatively scarce, and we often used grilled fish to fill our stomachs." Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas of Konoha. Uehara Naraku saw that she was very interested in talking about the past, and took the initiative to bring up the topic. "That was a very famous ninja, and I have heard of his name." In fact, it was not just his name. Uehara Naraku knew everything about his life, and of course he was more interested in Jiraiya's famous masterpieces. Unfortunately, most of the bookstore owners in the ninja world are quite upright and resolutely refuse to sell the book Intimate Paradise to a 12-year-old boy. In fact, they didn't have any stock. However, the bookstore owners didn't mind promoting another book, The Legend of the Strong and Perseverant Ninja by the same author Jiraiya. As we all know, this is a slow-selling book. Uehara Naraku also bought this book out of curiosity. After reading a few pages, Uehara Naraku discovered that this book is actually a chicken soup article in the ninja world. His original intention was to comfort those who had experienced the pain of war. Unfortunately, ninjas don't like chicken soup for the soul. Compared with The Legend of the Strong and Perseverant Ninja, Intimate Paradise with some color is more popular among those ninjas who lick blood on the tip of the knife. A generation of great writers has embarked on the road of no return of the Intimate series. Of course, compared to the Intimate series of books, Jiraiya's reputation is even better. He is one of the three ninjas of Konoha, the Toad Sage from Mount Myaboku, the disciple of the third Hokage, the teacher of the fourth Hokage, etc. That white-haired old man has a huge influence on the ninja world. Teacher Jiraiya is indeed very famous. Conan took a grilled fish and handed it to Uehara Naraku, saying softly, "He is not as arrogant and cruel as Orochimaru. It was because we heard about his deeds that we went to find him and became his disciples." What happened later? Conan frowned, recalling every bit of the past, and whispered, "Later we spent 3 years together, and every day was very interesting until teacher Jiraiya left. It seems that teacher Conan misses those days very much." After Uehara Naraku finished speaking, he lowered his head and took a bite of the grilled fish. Conan said with an unusually serious expression, because it is indeed worth remembering. If possible, Conan would rather Nagato not have such a strong power as he is now, and would rather there was no Akatsuki organization, and he hopes to continue to live those ordinary days. If there is a chance, I also want to meet that Lord Jiraiya. Uehara Naraku chuckled and added, I hope he won't be as difficult to get along with as Orochimaru in the organization. That white-haired hero is worth meeting. And there are many things about Jiraiya in his side quests. Although it is difficult to find Jiraiya's traces now, in a few years, when the Konoha joint Chunin exam is held, Jiraiya will appear in Konoha village. As long as you go to Konoha, you will definitely be able to complete many tasks. Well, stay away from Orochimaru in the future. He is not a good person. Conan patted Uehara's shoulder, looked him straight in the eyes, and told him seriously, except for me and Peen, you must never trust anyone else. Uehara Naraku blinked, secretly complained a few words in his heart, looked at Conan and nodded. Well, I know, teacher. Okay, after eating, go to bed early. Conan rubbed his hair and whispered, tomorrow we will attack another stronghold, and we may encounter some tricky guys. Uehara Naraku was a little surprised. With the combat power level of the rain ninjas he met, what could be tricky? Even if there were a few Jonin, could they defeat Conan? Uehara's thinking was still too one-sided. The Rain Village has always been among the top ninja villages in the ninja world, second only to the 5 major countries. When it was at its strongest, it even dared to declare war on the surrounding major countries. Although it was finally pressed to the ground and rubbed back and forth, its strength is still not to be underestimated. The second Rain Village base, that Conan and Uehara Naraku were going to attack, was located in a remote mountain. The terrain was easy to defend, but difficult to attack, and there were many ninjas there. Their alertness was also higher than that of ordinary ninja bases. When Uehara Naraku and Conan climbed the mountain, they looked at the barren mountain with a puzzled look on their faces. Teacher, what is the use of building a ninja base here? Because there is a salamander here. Conan raised her finger, and a paper butterfly floated down on her fingertips, turned into a piece of white paper again, and merged into her body. Salamander? Uehara Naraku raised his head in surprise, and scanned the inconspicuous barren mountain. Isn't that the summoning beast of Hanzo, the leader of the Rain Village? As a ninja beast living in the mountains of the Rain Country, the salamander has become a nightmare on the battlefield with its strong physique and the poison in its body. The salamander is a ninja beast that does not belong to the 3 holy places of the ninja world, but can compete with them in strength. Many ninjas died because of the poison of the salamander, and the 3 ninjas of Konoha were once suppressed by it and Hanzo. That's right. Conan nodded, took out a scroll, and whispered, the toxin of the salamander is very strong. During the Second Shinobi World War, if the ninja did not have a gas mask, they would not be qualified to survive on the battlefield. Sealing technique, release. After that, Conan took out 2 ugly gas masks from the sealing scroll and handed them to Uehara Naraku. Put them on. Neither of us are medical ninjas. We must ensure that we will not get hurt. Okay. Uehara Naraku took it with a strange look on his face. Thank you for the reward from Von Sklovsky. Chapter 12, a titled enemy. After Uehara Naraku and Conan entered the deep mountains, they could see with their naked eyes that some areas were filled with purple poisonous gas, and withered bushes were everywhere. Those areas had been contaminated by the poisonous gas unconsciously emitted by the salamanders. This place is so poisonous, no wonder few people set foot here. Conan frowned and whispered, there are poison sacs growing in the body of the salamanders. Once the toxins leak out, if someone accidentally inhales them, they will be poisoned, and I almost immediately. HMM. Uehara Naraku nodded. The poison of the salamanders is very strong. Even Hanzo, who has the highest resistance to poison, may be poisoned. It is said that, except Tsunade of Konoha and Chiyo of the Sand Village, no one else can quickly remove the poison of the salamanders. Let me tell you about our plan first. Xiaonan observed the surrounding terrain and began to tell Uehara about her tactics. I will first scout out the location of the salamander, attract its attention, and take it to a distance to kill it. You are responsible for delaying the actions of the ninjas in the base, or directly killing them. Understood? Uehara nodded. This plan has no shortcomings. The only trouble with this mission is the poison sac of the salamander. If it causes a highly toxic flood before it dies, the ninjas on both sides will have to withdraw from the battlefield. Because the ninjas are in battle, the gas mask is very unfavorable for observing the battle situation or finding the opponent's traces. Moreover, the mask itself is relatively fragile and can be easily destroyed by the enemy in the life and death struggle of the ninjas. If a Jonin fails to observe the shuriken of a genin due to a problem of perspective, and his gas mask is cut, he will also be killed by the genin. Before Conan took the lead, he turned back and whispered to the boy, "Naraku, I'm here for everything. There will be no problem with the mission. Remember, you must protect yourself." "Yes." Uehara Naraku nodded seriously. Perhaps because he was the child of the first generation of Akatsuki members, he received more care from Conan. The battle plan and other things went very smoothly. Conan quickly found the hiding place of the salamander along the spread area of the toxin, buried several detonating tags on the ground, and quickly detonated them. Boom. The deep mountain shook a few times. A huge salamander jumped out of the ground, with a brown body, and bumps all over its body. It looked a little ugly and stupid, but its movements were not stupid at all. Facing Conan's attack, the salamander opened its huge mouth and suddenly sprayed a purple poisonous mist, forcing Conan to spread the paper wings behind him to avoid the invasion of the poisonous mist. It was just that the noise just now was so loud that the rain ninjas stationed here quickly reacted and rushed out of their base fully armed. At least 20 rain ninjas came out. These rain ninjas stood densely on a tall rock. They soon found the attacking enemy, a ninja wearing a red cloud and black robe, who was attracting the salamander to leave the area. Someone is attacking Hanzo-sama's summoning beast. No, he wants to lure the salamander away. Quick, stop him. The rain ninjas quickly rushed down, trying to chase Xiaonan and the salamander, but several cards blocked their way. First, 3 cards shot through the bodies of the 3 rain ninjas, and the last card fell to the ground and exploded, forcing the other rain ninjas to stop their pursuit plan. Pay attention to concealment. There are other enemies. The leading rain ninja waved his hand to signal his subordinates to disperse, and turned around to see a boy wearing a gas mask. It turned out to be a little devil. Uehara Naraku was still recalling the ding in his brain. That was the sound of the mission completed. He just killed 3 rain ninjas and should have completed the advanced mission. Advanced task 2. Kill 10 official genin, 10 tenths, and you will be rewarded with 500 points of life energy, 500 points of chakra energy, and 500 gold coins. This reward is quite generous. Uehara Naraku frowned. In the previous month, he killed many wandering ninjas who were causing trouble. After completing advanced task 1, the system only rewarded him with 100 points of life energy and chakra energy. Now, he has completed advanced task 2, but the system has generously rewarded him with 500 points of life energy and chakra energy, and even an extra 500 gold coins. If his guess is correct, 100 points of life energy and chakra energy should correspond to the promotion of ordinary ninja students to genin. 500 points of life energy and chakra energy should correspond to the promotion of genin to chunin. In other words, as long as he completes the advanced tasks, such as killing 10 official genin, even if he does not complete those strange tasks, the system will 100% allow him to be promoted to chunin in terms of numerical value. After completing the advanced task 2, there was an extra 500 gold coins reward, which should be considered an extra reward. I guess they wanted him to buy some upgraded equipment in the mall, and didn't want him to be lost in the crowd. Now his data is finally interesting. Life energy. 1201 chakra energy. 1850 life recovery. 2/second chakra recovery. 1.5/second. The number of gold coins has also increased a lot. He got 100 gold coins after defeating Uchiha Itachi, and 150 gold coins more after becoming Xiaonan's disciple, plus the 500 gold coins he got today. Remaining gold coins. 2070. Unfortunately, these gold coins can only be used to purchase some useless garbage equipment in the mall. Uehara Naraku is still going to save money honestly, because he wants to buy a powerful equipment that can improve life energy, called the Berserker Armor. Uehara Naraku hid in the mask and licked his lips. Now that his life energy has been greatly enhanced, His strength, speed and physical strength should be able to meet the standards of an ordinary jonin. Although, it may only be the lowest level of jonin. For example, there is a female jonin named Yuhi Kyonoi in Konoha village, who is listed as the lowest standard of jonin by these two-dimensional enthusiasts. The boy's eyes moved little by little and stopped at the group of rain ninjas who looked down on him. There are still more than a dozen of these rain ninjas left, among which there are at least 4 or 5 chunin captains, or even more. Advanced Mission 3, kill 10 formal chunins, 2/10. The reward is unknown. Uehara Naraku's Advanced Mission 3 is to kill 10 chunins. In the month before he came here, he had destroyed a rain ninja team and killed a chunin captain. A few days ago, when he was carrying out the task of destroying the base, he killed another chunin captain. Hey, little brat, if you're willing to surrender, tell me where the guy in black went and why you attacked the salamander. Maybe we'll give you a quick death or spare your life. The leading rain ninja looked at the boy who stood there motionless and continued with contempt. If you still dare to resist, when we catch you, I'll let you see the cruelty of the rain ninja thorn. Chapter 13. You are seeking your own death. The Thorn of the Rain Village. At first glance, he sounds like an amazing guy, but in fact, the name in the ninja world is really not worth much. At least Uehara Naraku knew that there was a genin in the Sand village who gave himself the names of Red Sand and Wind Damaru. His strength is not very good, but the name is quite intimidating. The leading Rain Village ninja in front of him is not just intimidating, he is a formal jonin of the Rain Village, named Hattori Hirakawa. Hattori Hirakawa felt that he had some strength and his personality was a bit second year, so he gave himself the name of the Thorn of the Rain Village. Uehara Naraku raised his head and looked at Hattori Hirakawa, muffled his voice in the gas mask. The Thorn of the Rain Village seems to be a powerful person. Huh, I'm glad to know. Hattori Hirakawa was still a little complacent. Uehara Naraku adjusted his gas mask and said seriously, okay, I won't tease you anymore. I was just joking. Because the name of the Rain Hidden Thorn sounds like a waste. Asshole. Hearing the little brat's disdain for him, the pride on the Rain Ninja captain's face instantly faded, and he suddenly drew his ninja sword and rushed towards Uehara Naraku. At the same time, he did not call his subordinates, hey, I'll deal with this little brat, you go chase the enemy who led the salamander away. Yes, Captain Futuri. A group of Rain Hidden ninjas stepped on the ground with their toes, turned around and chased in the direction where Conan and the salamander moved. Lightning release. 10,000 Thunder Prison Induction. Uehara Naraku symbolically formed a hand seal and stretched out his palm to the sky, and a thunderstorm accumulated above his head. As Uehara Naraku released the chakra in his body to strengthen his ninjutsu, a circle of lightning radiated outwards from around his body, and the area of the thunderstorm became larger and larger. When the thunderstorm covered the Rain Ninja, a bolt of lightning suddenly fell from the sky and struck Hattori Hirakawa. Hattori Hirakawa instantly created a water clone to block the attack on his behalf, and said with lingering fear, that kid, with just one hand seal, released such a powerful lightning ninjutsu. If he hadn't created a water clone, he would have felt that he couldn't avoid the lightning at all. Even though the lightning looked extremely small, he didn't dare to test it out of respect for the natural thunder. However, this was just the beginning. As the thunderstorm completely covered the area, lightning struck from time to time, and every Rain Ninja couldn't tell whether he was being attacked. Some people could only use the substitute technique to avoid lightning, and some hid in the bunker to guide the lightning attack. But no one could be sure when this ninjutsu would end. Who will the next lightning fall on? Uehara Naraku was secretly calculating in his heart. The duration of the 10,000 Thunder Prison is 3 seconds, and lightning strikes once every 0.5 seconds. The minimum is 100 points of chakra. Now 1000 points of chakra are used. The range is increased tenfold, and the duration is increased tenfold. Within half a minute, lightning will strike 60 times on everyone's head. It doesn't even take half a minute. A moment later, the first ninja who couldn't hold on appeared. Lightning struck every 0.5 seconds. He was finally unable to resist and was hit by a lightning that fell from the sky, knocking him to the ground. Perhaps because the ninja was still alive, lightning struck him continuously until he was completely turned into a charcoal. Then, the second, third, and fourth. In just a few seconds, Half of the dozen rain ninjas were soon injured or killed. The interval between lightning attacks is about 0.5 seconds. Hattori Hirakawa tried his best to avoid the lightning attack while shouting, "Quick, everyone gather together and cover me to use Earth Escape ninjutsu to defend." His idea was right. No matter which ninja, 0.5 seconds is not enough to complete a hand seal, and even 1 second is not enough to make a hand seal for defensive ninjutsu. If everyone gathers together, as long as someone can use a water formation wall to help everyone block an attack, they can take turns to use defensive ninjutsu. The 3 rain ninjas who knew they were going to die chose to sacrifice themselves, and one by one helped Hattori Hirakawa block the lightning, giving him time to complete a hand seal. Earth Escape Earth Prison Hall. Hattori Hirakawa shouted loudly, and rocks flew towards him quickly, surrounding him and his remaining subordinates, forming a safe house made of rocks. Originally, this Earth Escape ninjutsu was used to imprison the enemy, but now it can only be used to protect himself and his teammates. 4 or 5 lightning bolts fell. Sparks flew on the rock house. Rocks were also broken into pieces by lightning. Hattori Hirakawa hurriedly released his chakra to restore the thickness of the rock house, and his subordinates also swarmed in and input earth attribute chakra into the rock house. However, this could not allow them to hold out for too long. With the strength of the lightning, even if they still have a lot of chakra left, it is impossible to rely on the thickness of this stone house to block the attack of lightning. Sooner or later, it will be broken. Hattori Hirakawa turned his head and looked at his subordinates with a sad face. There were 4 complete ninja teams just now, but now there are only 5 of them. Captain Hattori. Captain Hattori. A pair of eyes full of trust looked at Hattori Hirakawa, and one of the rain ninjas whispered, "Captain Hattori, let us cover you to escape." "You can't escape." The man named Rain Hidden Thorn shook his head and explained in a deep voice, "Just now I observed that every lightning came from the thundercloud in the sky. If you want to survive this ninjutsu, there are only 2 ways. The first way, of course, is to find a way to escape the coverage of the thundercloud storm by all means. This distance is at least hundreds of meters, which is very difficult. The second way is to rush up and kill the boy who released the ninjutsu with all your strength. They are only a few dozen meters away from the boy." The hidden rain ninjas had no time to waste. Hattori Hirakawa quickly formulated his own strategy and said quickly, "Let's rush out and kill that kid." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire safe house was completely collapsed by lightning. The 5 hidden rain ninjas quickly jumped towards Uehara and Naraku, and each ninja was also continuously throwing large and small stones, each performing a substitution technique to resist the attack of lightning, and at the same time, shorten the distance with the enemy. Uehara and Naraku looked at the charging hidden rain ninjas in surprise. They came so angrily. Did they want to kill him? It's so sad. As long as they hold on for another second, the skill of 10,000 Thunder's prison will end. If they flee separately, there is a high probability that they can escape. However, they made the wrong choice. The thundercloud storm in the sky gradually dissipated. Uehara and Naraku used chakra to condense a small puppet ball in his hand. The expression on his face was hidden in the mask. He said in a muffled voice, "You are courting death." Chapter 14. I want to hear a man's story. Earth style, earthquake core. A rain ninja quickly put his hands together and formed a seal, slapped his palms on the ground, and a stream of chakra quickly swam from the ground towards Uehara and Naraku. This is a ninjutsu that can change the terrain. Before Uehara and Naraku could react, he felt his feet sink, and the whole person slipped and fell into a large square pit. However, the pit created by the rain ninja using the earthquake core technique was a bit narrow, and Uehara and Naraku could even reach the rock walls on both sides with just his hands. The rain ninjas next to him saw that their companion's ninjutsu was effective, and they connected almost seamlessly and formed seals at the same time to release ninjutsu. Water style, water rush wave. 3 waves of water gushed out of their mouths, quickly merged into a long river, and gushed towards the large square pit, where Uehara and Naraku fell. Uehara and Naraku stepped on the bottom of the pit and stood in the air with the help of the flying technique. After easily avoiding the waves on the ground, he clapped his hands gently. "Your cooperation is really good. I would have been buried by you." His applause was undoubtedly a humiliation for the rain ninjas. Hattori Hirakawa, who was in the lead, didn't care at all. He just put his hands together and made his own hand seals. He was forcing himself to make hand seals faster. Because the ninjutsu he was releasing now required a lot of hand seals, and it might even be the technique that required the most hand seals in the ninja world. He wanted to use the water escape technique, the water dragon bullet technique. After all, his companions had created such a favorable environment for water escape ninjutsu, so of course he had to use this powerful water escape ninjutsu. Hattori Hirakawa wanted to ask the second generation Hokage of Konoha village why he invented such a complicated water escape ninjutsu that required 44 hand seals. Uehara Naraku stood in the air and scanned the people on the ground. His eyes slowly stopped at Hattori Hirakawa, who was frantically making hand seals. Hey, you have to make so many hand seals to release a ninjutsu. Are you still a serious ninja? The rain ninjas were all full of questions. Hattori Hirakawa ignored Uehara's provocation and just lowered his head to make the hand seals of the water dragon bullet technique. He would wait for another 6 seconds and make 18 more hand seals, and he would be able to complete the technique. Uehara Naraku frowned, looked at the ninja who was concentrating on making hand seals, and threw out the chakra puppet ball he had just condensed. Command, shockwave. So many hand seals, can't they be those strange forbidden techniques? For safety, just interrupt him. The small chakra puppet fell at the feet of a group of rain ninjas and suddenly began to rotate. The space around them was even distorted. A group of rain ninjas were pulled together by the distorted space, and they bumped into each other from all directions. Everyone felt dizzy. Hattori Hirakawa, the Jonin of Rain Village, whose seals were interrupted, cursed Konoha's second generation Hokage in his heart. Why didn't that guy improve the seal method when he invented the ninjutsu? 44 hand seals. Even if he could make 3 seals per second, it would take about 15 seconds. Uehara Naraku stepped on Hattori Hirakawa, snatched the ninja sword from him, stabbed it in his side, and whispered, "Come and make a bet with me." Bah. Hattori Hirakawa opened his mouth and was about to spit out a mouthful of blood foam. Uehara Naraku avoided the blood foam and couldn't help but chuckled at him. This world is already rotten enough. How can you survive with such a violent mood? Hattori Hirakawa gritted his teeth for a while and suddenly said, "You little brat, you don't look your age at all." Uehara Naraku spread his hands and said helplessly, "It's because you guys have done too much evil in the rain country, forcing me to become precocious." Hattori Hirakawa was stunned for a while and said in a deep voice, "Everything we are doing now is to make the hidden rain village and the rain country greater. The pain of some people is just the price we have to pay. Okay, I'm not interested in your dreams." Uehara Naraku pointed to the 4 rain ninjas next to him. "Let's talk about what's happening right now. Which of you are Chunin?" The 4 rain ninjas looked at each other. Uehara Naraku had already distinguished from their eyes in an instant that the 2 ninjas who received the most attention must be the Chunin captains. Suddenly, 2 cards shot out from between Uehara's fingers and suddenly shot at the chests of 2 of the Chunin captains, and blood flowed out of their hearts. Hattori Hirakawa, who was stepped on by him, saw this scene, and he could only feel powerless and hateful in his heart, and immediately cursed, "Asshole, I must kill you." There are only 4 ninja teams under his subordinates, 3 of which are standard Chunin captain plus genin team members, and the other one is his own 3 Chunin. The 2 people killed by Uehara Naraku just now were his 2 direct subordinates, who had been accompanying him in battles for more than 10 years, and were teammates who could rely on him for life and death. "Don't be too anxious to die." Uehara Naraku pressed Hattori Hirakawa hard with his feet, pointed at the remaining 2 rain ninjas, and asked, "In the future, there will be more companions who will go to the underworld to accompany them. We are talking about the remaining 2 genin. Here, do you want to bet with me?" "What bet?" Hattori Hirakawa's face was cold. Uehara Naraku seemed quite interested and whispered, "If you tell me a story that can make me happy, I will let you go. How about that?" This bet sounded very strange. What does it mean to tell him a joke that makes him happy? What is his standard of happiness? Hattori Hirakawa's mind was a little confused for a while. His idea was not to resist, but what kind of story did this teenager like to hear? Hattori Hirakawa was silent for a while, looking at Uehara with a puzzled expression. "I have indeed encountered a lot of things, but at least you have to tell me, what kind of story do you like?" If I tell you, this bet will be meaningless, so pray that the story you tell can make me happy, so that the two genin and yourself can be saved. Uehara Naraku squatted slightly while speaking, and his voice gradually became cold and creepy. If your story can't satisfy me, then pray that your death can be a little more normal. Hattori Hirako's face was extremely ugly, but he just glanced at the two trembling genin, lowered his head, and said in a deep voice, "Will you really keep your promise, and not humiliate me?" "Of course not." Uehara Naraku nodded, and suddenly said, "By the way, you are not a chunin, are you? If you are a chunin, we don't have to go through the process. I will send you directly to the underworld." Hattori Hirakawa couldn't figure out Uehara Naraku's emotions, and quickly said, "No, I'm a jonin in the village." "Oh, then keep your life here first." Uehara Naraku was very satisfied that Hattori Hirakawa was a jonin, clapped his hands and said, "Well, next, please tell me some romantic stories about men." Hattori Hirakawa nodded numbly, his mind spinning. Why did they meet such a psychopath? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15, The Book Confiscated by Xiaonan. Hattori Hirakawa was still thinking. Because Uehara Naraku only gave him one chance, but there was a little hint, that is, this 12-year-old boy wanted to hear some romantic stories about men. However, there are many categories of romantic stories about men. As a ninja who has been through life and death, Hattori Hirakawa's favorite stories are of course the stories in Intimate Paradise. It's just that some of the stories in it are not suitable for children. Hattori Hirakawa pressed his brows tightly. Perhaps at this kid's age, he probably doesn't understand the beauty of Intimate Paradise. Should I ask tentatively? After thinking for a long time, Yuan's Hishin looked at the boy who seemed to be getting impatient, and asked first, "Well, have you heard of Intimate Paradise?" Uehara Naraku's impatient expression suddenly disappeared, and he slowly raised his head, his eyes full of curiosity, confusion, and desire. Even through the gas mask, Hattori Hirakawa could see the thirst for knowledge in his eyes. For some reason, he actually felt that he and the two genin would definitely survive. "Give me the book, get out of here." Uehara Naraku stretched out his hand. In fact, he was not really curious about what was written in Intimate Paradise, mainly because there were several side quests related to the Intimate Paradise series. There are many book-related side quests, but the rewards of these side quests are unknown. When Uehara Naraku just came through, he bought the unsold book The Legend of Strong Perseverance Ninja, and after reading it, he received a reward of 100 chakra points. Perhaps this also proves that there are actually quite a lot of people who like to read in their two-dimensional world, so the system will have such a side quest. Hattori Hirakawa gritted his teeth, took out an orange book from his ninja tool bag, and handed it to Uehara Naraku. "Intimate Paradise is very popular in the Hidden Rain village. I also waited in line for a long time before I bought this one." "Yes." Uehara Naraku stretched out his hand to take the treasure. When Uehara took the Intimate Paradise in his hand, the system in his brain made a ding sound. "I didn't expect that just getting a book would complete a side quest." Side quest: get a copy of Intimate Paradise, reward 100 gold coins. There is such a simple quest, which means that there are people who want such a simple wish. Is this book so interesting? Uehara Naraku subconsciously opened the cover of the book, glanced at it casually, and said softly, "Well, this book is a bit interesting." Hattori Hirakawa covered his chest, and slowly stood up. "So, can we leave now?" "Whatever." Uehara Naraku stopped flipping through the book in his hand, looked up at Hattori Hirakawa, and left with two genin, and suddenly called him, smiling and said, "Wait, after you return to the Hidden Rain village, don't forget to tell Hands of the Salamander that we killed the salamander today, and it will be his turn soon." Hearing that little kid insulting his leader, Hattori Hirakawa just gritted his teeth, no longer looked back, and just led his two subordinates away. The three ninjas who escaped by chance did not communicate with each other throughout the whole process. Some messy words were carried by the wind and heard by Uehara Naraku. "Captain Hattori, that guy looks so young, but he's already so strong." "Well, Judging by his body shape, he's only 12 or 13 years old. But he's already reading Intimate Paradise at such a young age. This kid will definitely be useless in the future, right? Uehara Naraku didn't bother to pay attention. He left the lives of the Tagenin and Hattori Hirakawa, just following his mood. Anyway, they didn't dare to disturb the battle between Conan and the salamander. After sending away the group of rain ninjas, Uehara Naraku reviewed the gains this time. Advanced Mission 2 has been completed, and there are only 2 Chunins left to complete Advanced Mission 3. In addition, there is a precious Intimate Paradise. Based on the principle of not wasting resources, Uehara Naraku began to search for tasks related to Intimate Paradise on the system panel, and soon Uehara found several relatively simple ones. Side quest: collect 2 volumes of Intimate Paradise, the reward is unknown. Side quest: read the full text of Intimate Paradise, the reward is unknown. Side quest: read Intimate Paradise with emotion, the reward is unknown. When Uehara Naraku saw the third side quest, his eyes couldn't help twitching. Why is there such a shameful task? However, such a simple task is not impossible to do, but you must choose a suitable place, and it must be a quiet and deserted place. A breeze blew. Uehara Naraku felt his hands empty. When the boy looked up again, he saw only a piece of origami overlapping to form the appearance of Conan. Killing a salamander ninja beast without a master's command was still very easy for Conan. Conan was holding the Intimate Paradise in his hand. His brows were tightly knitted, and his face was very ugly. Uehara Naraku hurriedly opened his mouth to explain. Teacher Conan. No need to explain. When Conan came back, she saw the cover of Intimate Paradise at first sight. She felt a little familiar, as if she had seen it on the advertisement at the door of a bookstore. It was a very popular book. As Jiraiya's disciple, she naturally had heard of the teacher's masterpiece. Out of curiosity, Xiaonan once secretly queued up to buy a copy. Naturally, she was disappointed with the content and even thought that someone had used Jiraiya's name. After all, Jiraiya has been a single dog for so many years. How could he write a normal love story? After verification, it was indeed written by Jiraiya, and the content was more exciting than love story. Because she knew that this was not a serious book, she just snatched it from Uehara Naraku's hand. This kind of book is not something you should read at your age. The light blue hair covered the woman's profile. She lowered her head and looked at Uehara Naraku and continued seriously. No, you can never read this kind of book. Uehara Naraku looked at the Intimate Paradise in Xiaonan's hand and turned into countless scattered papers flying, as if he saw countless gold coins flying away from him. Xiaonan stretched out his hand to take off Uehara's gas mask, looked at the boy's tender face, and asked softly, Naraku, where did you get the book? This teacher is a bit too strict. Uehara Naraku took a deep breath and said, I just let a few people go, and they gave me this book. I wanted to give it to you. Teacher Conan must want his teacher's work very much. I heard from them that it is not easy to buy. I know. Conan sighed and rubbed his hair with his palm. If someone gives you this book again in the future, just kill him. Remember? Yes. Uehara Naraku agreed with a tender face. Obviously, he spoke so gently, but he talked about bloody things. And I thought it was a side quest of the Intimate Paradise series, which were all very simple tasks. Now I think that this task is really not so easy to complete. The Intimate Paradise series of books has always been very popular. It is estimated that he will not be able to buy it until the publishers find Jiraiya, and he agrees to reprint Intimate Paradise on a large scale, right? Okay. Xiaonan was satisfied with this, and skipped over the matter. She mentioned their mission. By now, Hands of the Salamander should have known about our revenge. Let's go back to the base and hide for a while, to prevent him from setting a trap, and there are also a few things that happened in the organization that I need to deal with. Chapter 16 Akatsuki Organization Meeting. Revenge must have a sense of rhythm. Xiaonan knew that Hands of the Salamander had always been scheming and had a vicious mind, and he might set traps at other ninja outposts. Although any trap was nothing to Xiaonan now, their goal was to make Hands of the Salamander summon all his confidants back to the Hidden Rain village to protect his safety and not let him escape quietly because of fear of the enemy's strength. In the following time, Xiaonan decided to temporarily return to the Akatsuki base to take care of some trivial matters, and then continue to selectively attack the Rain Ninja stronghold. A mere hidden rain village can be solved, as long as you put your heart into it. The Akatsuki organization is different, and it concerns their future and dreams. There are often some messy problems within the organization. This time the problems they face are particularly troublesome. During the time when Xiaonan left the base, the 3 teams of the Akatsuki organization had problems and lost 3 members. First, another partner of Kakuzu died in battle. During the mission, the poor teammate was killed by Kakuzu using fire release along with the enemy, and his body was also taken to the gold exchange office and exchanged for a box of money. This incident was not surprising. The members of Akatsuki were already used to Kakuzu's manipulation. It was just that for the sake of money, no one could say much. However, the newcomer in the organization, Uchiha Itachi, and his partner, Biwajuzo, died in battle, and died in his hometown, Kirigakure. According to Uchiha Itachi's report, when their team was on a mission in Kirigakure, they encountered the 4th Mizukaji Yagura and his pursuit ninja troops. As one of the 7 ninja swordsmen who defected from Kirigakure, Biwajuzo knew very well what the consequences would be if he fell into the hands of the Mizukaji and the pursuit ninja troops. Even if they tried their best to escape, they were still surrounded by Yagura and his men. Yagura was both the 4th Mizukaji and the 3-tails Jinchuriki. During the battle, Yagura entered the half-tailed beast state, and Biwajuzo used the beheading sword to take the tailed beast ball and saved Uchiha Itachi. But Juzo himself was not so lucky, and was stabbed in the chest and abdomen by the broken beheading sword. These are just small matters. For Pain, the death of a member in a mission can only mean that his strength is not enough. The last thing is absolutely intolerable. Orochimaru attacked the returning Uchiha Itachi, but was defeated by Uchiha Itachi's illusion. Perhaps because he was worried that he would be liquidated, the snake directly defected. When Konan brought Uehara Naraku back to the base, the remaining members of the Akatsuki organization were discussing the hunting down of Orochimaru and the replenishment of manpower. Konan, you are back. Pain glanced at Konan and the boy beside her, and said softly, we are discussing the issue of replenishment in the organization. Zetsu has found 2 suitable people to serve as partners for Kakuzu and Uchiha Itachi respectively. We just need someone to win them over. Understood. Konan frowned and nodded. The first one is a follower of the evil god in the Yugumi village. His name is hidden. It is said that he possesses immortality, which allows him to act together with Kakuzu. After Pain finished talking about the information about the first person, he turned to look at Konan. Konan, you take Uchiha Itachi and Kakuzu to win over Hidden. Yes. Ze, tell me about the next person's information. The second person's name is Ashigaki Kisame. After Zetsu mentioned the information about the first person, he turned to look at the mysterious masked man, and continued in a hoarse voice. He is a member of the Hashigaki clan of the water country, known as the Mist Hidden Monster, and like Biwajuzo, he is also one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Mist Hidden village. Hey, Kisame was discovered by me. The mysterious masked man suddenly interrupted Zetsu, waving his hands, and volunteered to say, it just so happens that I can recruit him to join the organization and he can be Itachi's partner. Pain pondered for a while, raised his head, and looked at the masked man in confusion. I remember hearing this name. Isn't Ashigaki Kisame a traitor now? You can lure him to defect at any time. The mysterious masked man waved his hands with a chuckle. Ashigaki Kisame's mission in the Hidden Mist village has always been to slaughter his companions. He must have wanted to defect a long time ago. Pain nodded, and did not doubt his methods. He just assigned him a task according to his request. Then you go to recruit Ashigaki Kisame. Hehe, okay. After the mysterious masked man agreed with a smile, he twisted his fingers and said embarrassedly, well, this mission may be a little troublesome. Can another intern from the organization go with me? What a bullshit trouble. Isn't Ashigaki Kisame your subordinate? Another intern from the Akatsuki organization, Uehara Naraku, had alarm bells ringing in his heart. Why did this sinister and despicable guy drag him along? Before Uehara Naraku could respond, Konan was the first to refuse him. No. What? The masked man waved his hands and said, but if I go on the mission, I'm a little short of manpower. The Hidden Mist Village is a very dangerous place. He is my disciple. Conan frowned and looked at the masked man who coveted her disciple with a cold look. I don't think it is necessary for him to go on the mission with you. If you think the Hidden Mist Village is dangerous, I can win over Hashigaki-sama on your behalf. The masked man hesitated and said, Senior Conan, he is also a member of the organization. We are both interns. Why can't he go on the mission with me? Conan's face suddenly showed some impatience. Because she knew that the mysterious masked man was the extremely evil Uchiha Madara, and she didn't want her disciple to have any intersection with the masked man. Not only the mysterious masked man, but also Conan didn't want Uehara to have any intersection with anyone in the Akatsuki organization, except her and Pin. But at this moment, everyone looked over and looked at Xiaonan in surprise, with some strange expressions. Although a group of S-rank rebels were not afraid of danger, Xiaonan was obviously so biased. She didn't let her own disciples go on dangerous missions, but let these members do it? It made people feel that it was not fair. Pain glanced at everyone present and made the final decision. Conan, you and Kakuzu and Uchiha Itachi go to win over Hidden. As for Uehara, let him and Afei contact Hashigaki-sama. Conan looked at Pain unwillingly, and seeing him shaking his head slightly, he could only lower his head and agree. Yes. Actually, it's not that troublesome. Uehara and Naraku looked up at everyone present and said softly, since the senior is worried about danger, I might as well go to the Hidden Mist Village by myself. It's just to win over one person to join the organization. It's not a particularly dangerous task. Huh. Okay. The mysterious masked man suddenly clapped his hands and said loudly, in that case, I can make time to help Senior Scorpion find his partner with Zetsu. Okay. Pain agreed. Scorpion had a different opinion, and a hoarse voice came from the puppet. You guys go. I don't like looking for people aimlessly. After that, Scorpion turned to look at Pain. Now that Orochimaru has defected, can I go kill him now? When Orochimaru was still in the Akatsuki organization, the two of them always quarreled over ideological and financial issues. Now that Orochimaru has defected, Scorpion naturally wants to take revenge and kill him. Of course. Pain asked softly, do you have any clues? Scorpion nodded and said in a gloomy voice, I have planted a spy next to him, and I will be able to find out about him soon. Then the matter of tracking down Orochimaru will be left to you. It's Monday, please give me some recommendation votes. Chapter 17, 100 million explosive talismans. After the meeting, everyone left the base. Conan looked at Uehara and Naraku with a worried look and blamed him. Naraku, I said that you should not get involved in the affairs of Akatsuki. Teacher Conan. Uehara and Naraku looked a little lonely and lowered his head. Pain shook his head and gently advised, Conan, we must be fair. Uehara is a member of the organization and there should be no exception. But he is still a child. Conan lowered his head and looked at Uehara and Naraku and said, when we were this age, we were just following teacher Jiraiya and had not learned any ninjutsu. Although Naraku's power is not weak, he is going to the land of water, which has been closed to the outside world. Biwa Juzo died there. What if Naraku has an accident there? No, teacher. Uehara and Naraku spoke to calm her emotions and prevent her from saying anything unlucky. Okay, no need to worry. A thin black stick appeared in Pain's palm. He gently broke the black stick and walked in front of Uehara and Naraku. Uehara, have you learned the summoning technique? Not yet. The boy looked a little embarrassed. He had not yet learned the authentic summoning technique of the ninja world, but his own summoning skills only needed a thought to complete. At present, he only had one summoning contract, the Justice Colossus Galio, but Galio's summoning required 3000 chakra points, and his value was far from enough. I will teach you the summoning technique now. After Pain finished speaking, he began to demonstrate the hand seals of the summoning technique, explaining as he did so, the summoning technique is the simplest space-time ninjutsu. Before making the hand seals, you need to use your own blood as a contract to summon the contracted object. After Pain demonstrated the hand seals of the summoning technique to Uehara and Naraku, he saw him nod to indicate that he had taken note and then handed the thin black stick in his hand to him. If you encounter danger in the Hidden Mist Village, use the chakra sensor to insert it into your body and then directly use the summoning technique. Do you understand? Yes. Uehara Naraku nodded with a strange expression on his face, because at this moment his brain made a ding sound. Side quest completed. Learn the summoning technique. 1/1. The quest has been completed, and the reward is the summoning contract. Deep Sea Titan Nautilus. Summoning contract. Summon the Deep Sea Titan Nautilus, consuming 2000 chakra points. Uehara Naraku felt that the summoning contract of the system was a complete pitfall. Whether it was the Justice Colossus or the Deep Sea Titan, his chakra was not enough. He could only find a way to complete the advanced tasks or collect money to buy some equipment to increase chakra. Fortunately, he could summon other things. Uehara Naraku took over the chakra sensor from Pain. This chakra sensor exists in every one of the 6 paths. Pain and Nagato, who is hidden behind Pain, uses these sensors to input chakra into Pain and control their actions. In addition to these functions, there is another use, which is summoning. And Konan beside them is an example. Because the small lip stud under Konan's mouth is also a chakra sensor, she can be summoned by the animal path Pain or summon the 6 paths Pain herself. Because of the existence of the chakra sensor, the 6 paths Pain is not only powerful, but also a summoning thing equivalent to the ninja beast. Uehara Naraku had always had this suspicion in his mind. Now that he saw Pain handing him the black stick, he understood everything. This chakra sensor could help him channel Pain. No matter which one it was, it could save his life. Pain was not as gentle as Konan. He had always been not very nice to him. Who would have thought that this guy was actually at Sundere? Uehara Naraku sighed secretly, looked at the 2 people present, and asked seductively, Teacher Konan, Master Yahiko, did you feel that the intern senior wearing a mask just now was a little strange? In order to maintain the persona of the heir of the Akatsuki organization, Uehara Naraku could only continue to call Pain Yahiko. On the contrary, Konan usually called Pain Nagato. Pain nodded, glanced at Konan, and explained, his identity is originally different from others. Just like Konan, I also suspected that he would harm you. So when you go to the land of water, I will warn him, and will not let him do anything unnecessary. Uehara Naraku looked subtle. It has been 12 years since Yahiko died in battle. Why are you still so naive? You are already 27 years old this year. If the mysterious masked man wants to do something bad to him, he doesn't need to do it himself. He can achieve his goal by manipulating the 4th Mizukage and Hoshigaki Kisame of the Hidden Mist Village. This is something that Konan and Pain have never thought of. This is also due to the lack of information. Uehara Naraku is not afraid of the masked man's tricks. Now that he has the short-term invincibility skill of the Holy Judgment and the flying skill of the air dance, he can escape whenever he wants. If the mysterious masked man wants to do something behind his back, Uehara Naraku doesn't mind translating to the masked man what a surprise is. However, Konan immediately gave Uehara Naraku a surprise. She took out a few summoning scrolls from her body and handed them to Uehara. Just as the boy was looking at the scroll with a puzzled look on his face, Konan rubbed his hair and explained softly, there are 100 million detonating talismans in it. Uehara Naraku. Even though he understood Konan's technique, he was still frightened by the concept of 100 million detonating talismans. How long would he have to use up this number of detonating talismans? Moreover, the system in his brain kept making ding sounds, which seemed to be a sign of a crash. When Uehara Naraku checked the system panel in his brain, he only saw a bunch of completed tasks, which made him dumbfounded. Side quest. Collect 1 Ninja World Detonating Talisman. 1/1. The task has been completed, and the reward skill, Multiplication Detonating Talisman Technique. Side quest. Collect 100 Ninja World Detonating Talismans. 100 hundredths. The task has been completed, and the reward is 100 gold coins. Side quest. Collect 10,000 Ninja World Detonating Talismans. 10,000/10,000. The task has been completed, and the reward is 150 gold coins. Side quest. Collect 100,000 Ninja Detonating Talismans. 100, hundredths, 000. Quest completed. 200 gold coins reward. Side quest. Collect 1 million Ninja Detonating Talismans. 1,000,000,000,000. Quest completed. 250 gold coins reward. Side quest. Collect 10 million detonating talismans. 10,000, tenths, 0000000. Quest completed. 300 gold coins reward. Side quest. Collect 100 million detonating talismans. 100, 000, hundredths, 0000000. Quest completed. 350 gold coins reward. In addition to the above rewards, Uehara and Naraku observed again that there were still 4 or 5 subsequent detonating talisman quests left, and the final quest deadline was to collect 600 billion detonating talismans. Uehara and Naraku couldn't help but glance at Conan. His teacher was so generous. He gave him several scrolls and asked him to complete a bunch of tasks. Conan thought he was scared by the number of detonating talismans, so he reached out to help him put the sealing scrolls into the ninja tool bag, and whispered, "I can make detonating talismans myself. 100 million is not a particularly large number. Your safety is the most important thing." "Yes, teacher." Uehara Naraku nodded, but in his heart he remembered the multiplication detonating talisman technique that the system rewarded him. Unfortunately, this is a system skill and there is no way to teach it to Conan. But this skill comes from the ninja world. Uehara couldn't help but have a little idea. If there is a chance, he must go to the Konoha Forbidden Technique room to help Conan get the practice method of the multiplication detonating talisman technique. If the woman who has the most detonating talismans in the ninja world gets the multiplication detonating talisman technique, I don't know if Conan can withstand it when the mysterious masked man wants to harm him. Chapter 18. Find him a friend. The richest woman in the ninja world, so rich that she is unreasonable. Uehara Naraku left the Akatsuki base with 100 million detonating tags and a chakra sensor to summon Peen, as Conan waved goodbye. Apart from him, the other ninjas also had to carry out their respective missions. The light blue-haired woman stood at the gate of the base, watching Uehara's figure gradually disappear, and the worry on her face had not faded. Kakuzu and Uchiha Itachi beside him had a somewhat subtle expression. Kakuzu is the oldest person in the Akatsuki organization, and he has the broadest experience. Looking at Conan's appearance, he couldn't help but say, "Huh, can a ninja never encounter danger in his entire life?" Conan glanced at him, frowned and said, "Naraku is different from us. He is only 12 years old this year and still a child. I started to carry out missions alone when I was 12. Kakuzu's face was even more dissatisfied. He glanced at Uchiha Itachi again. "Hey, kid from the Uchiha clan, the graduation age for you Konoha ninjas is also 12 years old, right?" "Yeah." Uchiha Itachi nodded. He graduated from the ninja school at the age of 7, became the captain of the Anbu at the age of 11, and became an S-level rebel ninja of Konoha at the age of 13, because of the clan annihilation incident. Seeing Conan's appearance, Uchiha Itachi decided to say a few words. "Conan, he is only 1 year younger than me, but he is very strong. If it weren't for his carelessness when we first met, I might have lost HMM." Conan's eyebrows suddenly calmed down, nodded and said, "Okay, then let's go to the hot spring village now." Uchiha Itachi closed his eyes and sighed. Sure enough, no matter what age or personality a woman is, as long as he follows their wishes, he can achieve his desired goal. Conan took Kakuzu and Uchiha Itachi out of the base and went to the hot spring village to find the trace of hidden. A space vortex appeared where they were originally standing. The figure of the mysterious masked man emerged from the space vortex and spoke to the empty air. "Black Zetsu, I'll go see the intern and the organization and see how to win over Kisame to join the organization." His voice was no longer funny and playful as in the Akatsuki meeting, but a little heavy, and there was a gloomy and majestic voice in his voice. A pitcher plant drilled out of the ground, and a monster with half white and half black appeared on the ground. It said in a hoarse voice, "Abato, don't pay so much attention to a little kid. His existence will not hinder our plan, and he will become a thug who collects tailed beasts in the future. That little kid named Uehara does not have a dark past." The mysterious masked man sneered, looked down at Zetsu on the ground, and continued, "Will he agree with our ideas in the future? Ever since Pain and Conan found him, they have been protecting him. If we don't do it this time, we may not have the opportunity next time." "Huh? What do you want to do to him?" If we kill him, Conan and Pain will definitely suspect us. Abato. This is not in line with our plan. Zetsu shook his head. Everything is now going according to their plan, and he doesn't want the mysterious masked man in front of him to cause trouble. Don't worry, I won't kill him. The masked man reached out and grabbed the patterned mask on his face, whispering, I will control Uehara Naraku to fall into darkness, just like I controlled Uchiha Itachi in the past. You have seen it before. He was only 12 years old, and he easily defeated a mixed team of Jonin. Now he has at least the strength of a Jonin, and he may be even stronger in the future. We must not let him be loyal to Nagato. When Conan and Uehara Naraku were outside attacking the Rain Ninja base, Black Zetsu and the Masked Man were also secretly observing Uehara's situation. When they saw Uehara Naraku use the lightning release ninjutsu to easily defeat the team of more than 20 people, Black Zetsu was in a good mood, as he had seen many big scenes. There was some doubt in Black Zetsu's hoarse voice. He looked up at the Masked Man in surprise. It seems that there is nothing worth noting about having Jonin level chakra and power at the age of 12, such as Kakashi Hatake of Konoha village. He is different from that waste Kakashi. The Masked Man interrupted Black Zetsu's words in a cold voice and cursed the genius ninja of Konoha who was promoted to Jonin at the age of 12. If nothing unexpected happens, Uehara Naraku will definitely reach the level of Kage in the future. He is not like Kakuzu, Uchiha Itachi and Sasori of Akatsuki, who belong to the neutral faction of Akatsuki, but to Nagato and Conan. The existence of Uehara Naraku may cause the Masked Man to deviate from the direct control of Akatsuki in the future, which is a big hidden danger. But the Masked Man suddenly realized that if he instigated Uehara Naraku to rebel, he could make the kid more useful. The Masked Man can even reversely use Uehara Naraku, making him a spy between Conan and Nagato, stealing the intelligence of Conan and Nagato. He can also use Uehara Naraku to influence the actions of Conan and Nagato. For example, in the future, when the time is right, he can induce Nagato to directly attack the major ninja villages, so that he and the 5 major ninja villages will suffer losses. It's not easy to change that kid. Black Zetsu whispered the information he had collected. Uehara Naraku's father died in battle to protect Conan 12 years ago. His mother also died of illness a few months ago. Except for Nagato and Conan, he has no bonds. Breaking the bond of a ninja and letting this ninja fall into darkness is the quickest way, and they have some practical experience. The problem is that Uehara Naraku is an orphan. At present, Uehara Naraku and Conan have the deepest bond, but if Conan gets into trouble, Nagato may give up collecting the tailed beasts and directly transform into the world-destroying Demon King. If something goes wrong with Nagato's Samsara, it would be too monotonous to describe it as a loss. Not to mention Black Zetsu, the mysterious Masked Man would not allow this to happen, so he planned to guide Uehara in another way. Useless things like bonds can be cultivated. Black Zetsu looked at the Masked Man and felt that he had heard something extraordinary. Abato, do you want to arrange a friend for that kid? It's easy to destroy a bond, but it's much more difficult to cultivate it. Humph, there will always be a way. The mysterious Masked Man clenched his palms and whispered, help me prepare a white Zetsu, and I will prepare a suitable identity for it. Black Zetsu nodded helplessly. Okay, as long as you are happy. Anyway, this is not an important matter. If it succeeds, it will be good for them, and if it fails, it doesn't matter. Uehara Naraku didn't know that someone wanted to arrange a friend for him. He fell into another trouble. Since he had never left the Rain Country in the past, he was not very familiar with the geography of the ninja world, and his mission was to go to the Water Country to recruit a Shigeki-sama. Not only do you have to go abroad, you also have to go to sea. Chapter 19 White Zetsu's Disguise. At the entrance of the bookstore, Uehara Naraku looked down at the map of the ninja world he had just bought, and could not help but complain, boss, this map is quite abstract. Ahahaha. The bookstore owner scratched the back of his head and smiled awkwardly. There is nothing we can do about it. Only big ninja villages can draw the most detailed maps. This kind of map will not hinder your travel. In fact, all the lifelines of the ninja world are controlled by the ninjas. Except for the ninja villages willing to send ninjas to collect terrain intelligence, how could others be willing to pay a high price to make a more precise map? Uehara Naraku glanced at him speechlessly, tapped the location of the Water Country on the map, and there was only a circle on the sea. He finally couldn't help but say, but isn't the area of this water country a little bigger? Are you going to the water country? The bookstore owner's expression instantly became nervous, and he leaned over and whispered in Uehara's ear, don't go to that place. I heard that many merchants went there and never came back. Whoever goes to the water country will be killed by the ninjas there. Okay, I get it. Uehara Naraku put away the simple map with a hard word. The hidden mist village in the water country is still ruled by the 4th Mizukage Yagura, a puppet Mizukage controlled by someone behind the scenes. He still implements the blood mist policy and isolates the water country from the outside world for a long time, theoretically refusing any outsiders to enter the water country. The hidden mist village hidden in the blood mist will not only not prohibit ninjas from the same village from fighting, but also encourages ninjas to do so from the side. The man behind the scenes who manipulated Yagura seemed to be afraid that the hidden mist village would not perish. Through the blood mist policy, he gradually depleted the vitality of the hidden mist village and tortured all the hidden mist ninjas. If he treated his own people so cruelly, how could he treat outsiders? Uehara Naraku flipped through the abstract map in his hand, planning his route to the land of water and choosing the fastest and safest route. The fastest way at present is to go east from the land of rain to the land of fire, from the land of fire to the land of waves, and then take a ship from the land of waves to the land of water. This route is also very beneficial. Although you may encounter Konoha ninjas on the way, you don't have to worry about being in danger. Except for the 3rd Hokage and my guy, there seems to be nothing to be afraid of for others, except for Hatake Kakashi. If there is a way to sneak into Konoha with the help of other identities, you can also go to Konoha village to complete many messy side quests. Among the side quests released by the system, there are the most quests about the many ninjas of Konoha, which is not surprising, because that is where the protagonists of the ninja world are. Uehara Naraku considered the most, because this route leads directly to the land of waves. If the land of waves is now occupied by Kado, the smuggling tycoon must know how to get to the land of water, and he must have some kind of connection with the hidden mist village. Uehara can completely control Kado and use him to enter the land of water, or he can also see if he can get information about Hashigaki Kisame from Kado. The mission of the Akatsuki organization is really troublesome. Just recruiting Hashigaki Kisame to join the organization consumes so many brain cells. The system doesn't even fart, it just keeps sending tasks. If he had a white Zetsu by his side, it would be great. White Zetsu is the best at detecting intelligence. This thought only flashed through Uehara Naraku's mind. If there really is a white Zetsu by his side, it means that the mysterious masked man and black Zetsu must want to harm him, and Uehara will definitely twist the head of the white Zetsu off on the spot. At this time, someone suddenly reached out and patted Uehara on the shoulder. When Uehara Naraku turned his head, he saw a girl who looked a little sweet, but her smile was a little exaggerated. Seeing Uehara turn around, the girl blinked her eyes curiously and asked, "Hello. Do you know what it feels like to poop?" What a devilish question. It happened that Uehara Naraku just thought of white Zetsu. Now hearing the girl's strange question, he instantly remembered that Uchiha Obito met those white Zetsu with strange brain circuits in the sealed underground base. Uehara Naraku's expression suddenly turned cold. He pinched the girl's neck with one hand, pressed her against the wall, and whispered, "Hey, are you white Zetsu?" The girl heard Uehara's words. Her face stiffened for a moment, her eyes rolled around, and she hissed, "What are you talking about? I don't understand." Uehara Naraku didn't believe her at all, because the system in his mind made a ding sound, reminding him that a side quest had been completed. Side quest, see through white Zetsu's disguise. 1/1, the quest has been completed, and the reward skill is Born Illusion. Natural illusion, able to disguise as any living creature until it is damaged, or uses a skill which will break the disguise. Consumes 100 chakra points, cooldown time 2 seconds. Uehara Naraku's brows relaxed immediately. After seeing through white Zetsu's disguise, he actually got a skill similar to white Zetsu's magical transformation technique, or even more magical. The skill of natural illusion comes from the innate skill of the survivor of the Misttail clan, the flower psychic Nico, which can use this skill to transform him into any creature in the ninja world. For example, into a kitten. White Zetsu, who has now transformed into a girl using the transformation technique, does not know that he is still pretending to be frightened, trying to get away with it. Let me go. I don't know what you are talking about. I just want to say hello to you. There are so many people, and you came to me. Uehara Naraku grabbed her neck and twisted her neck. Unable to suppress his emotions, he cursed. Damn it, why are you still pretending to be with me here? He has already received his system rewards. Okay. The residents of the town saw Uehara Naraku killing people in the street, and their eyes widened in panic. One of them, seemingly relying on his courage, asked, "Hey, that kid, why did you kill her?" "Because she insulted my intelligence," Uehara Naraku said without turning his head, just watching the girl's body turn into a hideous white humanoid monster. It was exactly the appearance of White Zetsu. Ding. The system in Uehara's brain rang. Side quest. Killer White Zetsu of the ninja world. 1/1. The quest has been completed, and the reward is the Mayfly technique. Mayfly technique. Merge yourself with the earth and plants, so that you can move quickly between the underground plants. During the activation of the ninjutsu, all breath is cut off, and 3 chakras are consumed per second on the ground. Wire. The villagers of these small towns saw such an ugly monster for the first time, and saw such a bloody scene, screaming and scrambling to flee. Uehara Naraku ignored it, and just took out a sealing scroll, and sealed the body into the scroll. He could give it to Konan and Pin to slander Zetsu and the Masked Man, or keep it as a sacrifice for future reincarnation. When Uehara Nabubu left the town, a space-time vortex quietly appeared on the roof. The mysterious masked man pressed his mask with a headache. Those white Zetsu are really useless, and can't change anything. If that doesn't work, let's find another guy who is suitable to be a spy. Chapter 20 Encounter on the Road. White Zetsu is really a dog that can't change its habit of eating shit. More than a decade ago, when this group of guys came into contact with Uchiha Obito, they were so curious. More than a decade has passed, and they still haven't improved at all. One sentence inexplicably revealed a flaw in front of Uehara. When he met White Zetsu pretending to be a girl and chatted with him, Uehara Naraku was completely sure of one thing, that the masked man had been monitoring his whereabouts. After leaving the town, Uehara immediately found a hidden corner, used the Mayfly technique he had just learned to sneak into the ground, and quietly ran away. After the mysterious masked man lost the trace of Uehara Naraku, he was not in a hurry, because he knew the location of Uehara Naraku's mission. As long as he waited by the side of Hashigaki Kisame, he would definitely be able to wait for him. What a trouble, that brat. The mysterious masked man adjusted the mask on his face and thought about the next countermeasure. The woman in the Lock Country who always misses that useless Kakashi. I heard that she is a spy trained by the Lock Country since she was a child. I think we can borrow her for a while. Humph. The woman's name is Karen. The reason why he knew the information about that woman was because of Hatake Kakashi. When he was a teenager, Kakashi was late for returning to Konoha after a mission, and he mentioned that he saved a little girl on the way. By chance, when the mysterious masked man was digging for secrets in the ninja world, he found that the spy woman Karen trained by the Lock Country had good talents and means. Because she had not been allowed to return to her hometown, as long as she was taught a little, she would be useful sooner or later. However, after observing Karen for a few days, the mysterious masked man found that Karen was the little girl Kakashi had saved when he was a teenager, and he lost interest in her instantly. It was because this woman had a bad eye and could not judge people. In his opinion, the Hatake Kakashi that Karen liked was an out-and-out waste, so he gave up recruiting Karen. Now the masked man needs a qualified spy candidate. His first thought was Kabuto Yakushi, but Kabuto Yakushi is a man, and he is lurking around Orochimaru, and he is also involved with the Red Sand Scorpion, which is a bit inappropriate. The woman named Karen is barely pleasing to the eye, and she has some feminine means. Shouldn't Uehara Naraku accept her? The masked man quickly worked out a perfect plan. He was even a little excited when he was sure of his plan. I'm the genius. The heavy voice of the mysterious masked man faded away, and his words turned into a funny clown again. Let Kisame teach that kid a lesson, and when it comes to life and death, let the woman named Karen risk her life to save him. He even admired himself a little. If this strategy was not formulated by him personally, even he himself would not be able to tell whether it was true or false. A vortex of time and space appeared behind him, sucking him in completely, leaving only his nervous voice. Go find that woman named Huling first, and use the lock country as a bargaining chip to threaten her. In the land of fire, in a dense forest, Uehara Naraku's head popped out of the tree, looking at the surrounding environment, and when he noticed that there was no one, he quietly appeared. It was very fast to travel through the grass and trees underground, but it was a bit of a waste of chakra. In order to be able to travel to the land of fire, Uehara Naraku also upgraded his equipment. Embrace of the Seraph. Chakra energy increased by 1400 points, skill cooldown reduction increased by 20%, and chakra consumption reduced by 25%. Originally, he had accumulated more than 3000 gold coins by completing a series of side quests through advanced quests and the detonating talisman given by Xiaonan, but now he only has more than 1000 left. Uehara Naraku felt a little heartbroken. He spent so much money to only add 400 chakra points, which just made his chakra break through 2000 points. If his chakra was maintained at the maximum value, he could summon the Deep Sea Titan once. However, Uehara didn't care about using equipment to accumulate chakra values, because advanced quests would reward a lot of life energy and chakra energy. What he cares more about now is the chakra recovery and life energy recovery brought by equipment, skill cooldown reduction, etc. Life energy. 1201/1201 chakra energy. 133 over 2250 life recovery. 2/second chakra recovery. 1.5/second remaining gold coins. 1070 because of the long underground travel. His chakra was almost exhausted, and he needed to rest here for more than 20 minutes to recover his chakra. 20 minutes is not a short time. Uehara Naraku thought he had found a secluded place. He forgot that this was the fastest shortcut from the west of the land of fire to Konoha, so many people were bound to pass by. For example, two Konoha Anbu who had returned from the land of rivers after completing a mission. A masked white-haired ninja was walking on the road. He was holding an orange comic book in his hand, reading it while walking, somewhat immersed in it. Walking next to him was a masked purple-haired female ninja. The Enbu uniform she wore made her look tall and graceful. Let's take a rest nearby. The purple-haired female ninja's voice was like an aureole, echoing in the silent forest. Senior, after returning to the village this time, are you going to quit the Anbu? Ah, that's right. The white-haired ninja lowered her head and said softly, the third generation wants me to be a coaching Jonin and guide the graduating class in the village. What a pity. The female ninja lowered her head, her purple hair scattered on her chest. She sighed and continued, I hope I will have the opportunity to carry out missions with my senior in the future. Well, there's no need to be so depressed. If I'm not mistaken, your next partner is actually a very gentle guy. The white-haired Anbu ninja's voice suddenly paused, and his steps also stopped. He slowly turned his head and looked into the depths of the forest and saw a man with a patterned mask sitting under a big tree to rest. The purple-haired female ninja couldn't help but stop. After following his gaze and seeing the masked man under the tree, the woman subconsciously drew her ninja sword. This was the instinctive reaction of the Anbu ninja. The population in this area is somewhat sparse because it is close to the Sand Village and the Rain Village. The pain caused by several ninja wars is too great, and most of the civilians who settled nearby have migrated to the area near Konoha. Moreover, this masked man is dressed strangely and inexplicably appeared in a dangerous forest. He must be a dangerous person. At this moment, Uehara Naraku, who has used his natural illusion to transform into a mysterious masked man, is also calming his mind. This is his first grand performance in the land of fire. When he heard their conversation just now, Uehara Naraku secretly observed them for a while, and just through the mask, he recognized the identity of the white-haired ninja and the purple-haired female ninja. Hatake Kakashi, Yuzuki Yugeo. Therefore, after his chakra was restored, Uehara Naraku not only did not use the Mayfly technique to dodge, but instead thought of a brilliant idea. This time, he was going to give the masked man a big trouble. Chapter 21. Yes, I'm Uchiha Obito. Bonds are the most complicated relationships in the ninja world. Uehara Naraku and the mysterious masked man don't know each other now. The gifts they plan to prepare for each other are actually exactly the same in nature. They both use people's emotions to achieve their desired goals. The mysterious masked man wants to use Karen as a spy to form a bond with Uehara Naraku so as to break the bond and let Uehara fall into darkness. Uehara Naraku thinks that it is better to cause him a big trouble than to let the mysterious masked man secretly track him and plot. People will have to face their past sooner or later. Moreover, Uehara Naraku and the mysterious masked man have a full understanding of themselves and believe in their own IQ. Both of them think that their plans are impeccable. Now the number of people in the entire ninja world who know the identity of the mysterious masked man can never exceed one hand. The mysterious masked man would never think that Uehara could cross the border through the Mayfly technique and quickly rush to the land of fire. Secondly, as long as Uehara does not reveal his true identity, the mysterious masked man will not be able to find out that he did it. Hatake Kakashi walked forward, looked at the mysterious masked man under the tree, and asked, "Who are you? What is your purpose in sneaking into the land of fire?" "This is my homeland." The masked man incarnated by Uehara Naraku spread out his palms and whispered, "Master Anbu of Konoha, can't I go back to my hometown?" Uehara felt that his acting skills were somewhat perfect. The thoughts and feelings of a wanderer who had been away from home for many years were interpreted vividly by him. Unfortunately, there were only 2 spectators who did not know the truth around him. The Enbu ninja of Konoha did not buy it at all. Yuzuki Yugeo waved the ninja sword at him and said in a deep voice, "Hey, take off your mask first. I'm afraid this is not fair." Uehara Naraku touched the patterned mask on his face, raised his head, and looked at the white-haired ninja, and whispered, "If we are old friends meeting, we should take off each other's masks. What do you think, Hatake Kakashi?" Clang. The white-haired ninja suddenly drew out his ninja sword, bent his waist, and took a fighting stance, but he said casually, "Well, knowing that I work in the Anbu, and being able to recognize me, it seems that he is indeed a familiar person." Hatake Kakashi's brain was thinking quickly. The masked man in front of him hid his identity, which meant that his identity was not to be seen by the public. He was most likely a rebel ninja of Konoha or a root ninja of Danzo. However, after the destruction of the Uchiha clan of Konoha not long ago, Shimura Danzo was inexplicably imprisoned by the 3rd Hokage, and the entire root was completely disbanded. Then, it can only be a rebel ninja of Konoha. Coincidentally, Kakashi did know a suitable candidate. The man who destroyed his own family and became a S-level rebel ninja of Konoha was Kakashi's former teammate in the Anbu, Uchiha Itachi. But in Kakashi's cognition, Uchiha Itachi's family education has always been very good. Whether facing enemies or companions in the village, he has always been very polite. The mysterious masked man in front of him was so pretentious. Uchiha Itachi should not do such a thing, but the Uchiha clan were all psychopaths who knew what he would become. In addition to Uchiha Itachi, he really couldn't think of anyone else. Hatake Kakashi clenched his ninja sword, staring at the masked man with his scarlet Sharingan. After taking a deep breath, he asked in a deep voice, "Are you Uchiha Itachi?" After the air seemed to be quiet for a moment, the masked man stretched out a finger and shook his head. "You guessed wrong, Kakashi." After hearing his words, Hatake Kakashi was silent for a while, and suddenly rushed up with the ninja sword in his hand, saying coldly, "Since you are still playing tricks, let me help you take off the mask now." The mysterious masked man seemed to be frightened. After hurriedly dodging Kakashi's attack, he jumped onto the tree, and his voice gradually became gloomy. "It's you, Kakashi. You are still so ruthless when killing your teammates." Hatake Kakashi's figure froze. At this moment, he once again thought of Lin, whom he dreamed of every night, the girl who died under his reikiri with a painful face and blood all over her body. Yuzuki Yugeo glanced at Kakashi, whose body was frozen, and argued loudly, "Asshole, what are you talking about? Senior is not that kind of person." "Huh, really not?" The mysterious masked man looked down at the 2 people on the ground, slowly took off the mask on his face, revealing a face that was half intact and half full of scars. This is the true face of Uchiha Obito. The natural illusion used by Uehara Naraku can imitate and disguise as any person, and naturally can also imitate the appearance of Uchiha Obito. Uehara Naraku held the mask in his hand, with a mocking smile on his lips. "Kakashi, do you still recognize me?" Hatake Kakashi's palms were blue with veins, and he held his ninja sword tightly, as if he wanted to break the ninja sword into pieces. He couldn't believe his eyes. Even after so many years, Uchiha Obito's appearance had changed, but Kakashi could still recognize his outline. But how could the person he buried many years ago be resurrected? Kakashi took off the mask on his face and widened his eyes in disbelief. You are Obito? Ha 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 ha. Uchiha Obito, who was wearing the Uehara Naraku brand, laughed loudly and said loudly, I didn't expect that Sharingan Kakashi could still remember me, the last one. It's really rare. Obito. Kakashi's voice was a little dry. He didn't know how to face the ridicule of his old friend. Many words couldn't be said in his throat. Yuzuki Yugeo stood beside Kakashi and said solemnly, Senior, is he the hero Obito who died in the battle? Is he defecting now? Yuzuki Yugeo's words instantly brought the two back to reality. Nearly 10 years have passed since Uchiha Obito is still alive. Why didn't he return to Konoha? Is it because of Rin's death in the battle? Obito, why didn't you want to return to the village at that time? If the teachers knew you were still alive. Kakashi paused again. Their teacher Minato Namikaze died in the Ninetales Rebellion 8 years ago. Minato and Kushina were killed by me. Uchiha Obito, disguised as Uehara Naraku, lowered his head, stared at Kakashi's stiff face, smiled and said, You can't believe it? I opened the seal of the Ninetales, and I controlled it with the Sharingan. You also noticed that the gift I gave you to become a Jonin that day concealed an amazing power, right? Kakashi's brain was in chaos. Because what Obito said was too shocking, his originally calm thinking became disordered, and even what Obito said now seemed to be hallucinations. Okay, Kakashi, cherish that Sharingan. It has power beyond your imagination. I still have to avenge Lin. Goodbye. Uehara Naraku waved his hand, jumped up a few times, and jumped into the distance. Before Kakashi and Yuzuki Yugeo could react, his figure had disappeared. Uehara Naraku hid in the dense forest, used the mayfly technique to sneak into a big tree, glanced at Kakashi who was frantically looking for Obito's trace, and sank silently into the ground. Today, he did a good thing. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Goodbye Beheading Sword. After Uchiha Obito disappeared, Kakashi searched for him for a long time, but to no avail. He could only lean against a tree and gradually regained his composure as a ninja. Kakashi frowned, and first confirmed that Uchiha Obito's identity was real, because before Obito died, he said that the Sharingan was a gift, to congratulate him on becoming a Jonin. Only he, Nobara Rin and Uchiha Obito knew the name of this Jonin gift. Rin was already dead, so the only people who knew about it were the two of them. As for the other things Uchiha Obito said, such as killing Minato and Kushina, Kakashi first thought was not to believe it. After all, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki treated Uchiha Obito very kindly. However, there were indeed many doubts about the Ninetales Rebellion back then. Kakashi gritted his teeth and punched the tree next to him. As long as we find Obito again, we can find out the truth of the past. If Obito wants to avenge Lin, he didn't kill me, so he must have gone to the Land of Water, or has been lurking in the Land of Water. Based on the words that Uchiha Obito deliberately left behind, Kakashi quickly interpreted the information he wanted. Kakashi clenched his fists. His IQ has always been much higher than Obito's, and he quickly thought he had determined where Obito was. Uchiha Obito just now was a little sad and angry, and he kept poking at their scars in his words, without realizing that he had already leaked his information. Obito, you are still the same as always. Kakashi put on his mask again. He had already determined Obito's location. As long as he went to the Land of Water, he would definitely be able to find Obito, and then he would be able to solve all the dusty truths. Senior, shall we go back to the village? Yuzuki Yugeo came up with a tangled look on her face. It seemed that she knew some incredible secrets today. The purple-haired female ninja was still a little dazed. Well, wait a minute. After nodding, Kakashi looked at Yuzuki Yugeo and suddenly said, what we encountered today, no matter who you are facing, please keep it secret. This may cause turmoil in Konoha. Before I find out the truth, it must not be known by others. Yuzuki Yugeo said in a deep voice, Senior, among the other people you mentioned, does it also include the Hokage? Yes, there are many hidden secrets in Obito's affairs. Hatake Kakashi rubbed his forehead and whispered, the turmoil of the demise of the Uchiha clan has not ended yet. Keep it secret from the third generation for the time being. After I find out the truth, I will report everything to him. Yes. Yuzuki Yugeo stared at Hatake Kakashi closely, and when she saw some regret on his face, she nodded and agreed to his request. Because they were worried that Uchiha Obito would encounter uncontrollable dangers when he was taking revenge on the Hidden Mist village, Hatake Kakashi led Yuzuki Yugeo to make a simple repair and then rushed back to Konoha village and then hurriedly asked for leave from Sarutobi Hiruzen. Uehara Naraku didn't know that he had done a good deed, which directly led to Kakashi's early withdrawal from the Anbu. At this moment, Uehara had already rushed to the Land of Waves. This small neighbor close to the Land of Fire was really poor, and he had never heard of the name of Kado. It seemed that the rich man Kado had not yet set his sights on this small country. Uehara Naraku suddenly lost interest in this country. He walked all the way to the dock of Wave Country, looked at the rows of fishing boats, and asked, how much does it cost to go to Water Country? The boatmen looked left and right, shook their heads, and one of the leading boatmen answered, guest, Water Country is a closed country, and the ninja there does not allow us to approach. Uehara Naraku looked at them curiously and whispered, well, how much do I have to pay before you are willing to take me to Water Country? No matter how much you pay, we will not go. Money can be earned, but life only happens once. How can I lose my life for a sum of money? A group of boatmen are more moral than Uehara imagined. Born in a poor country, the consumption level is not high, and the pressure of life is small. They will not sacrifice their lives for money. In the noise, a voice suddenly came out, Kit, how much are you willing to pay? If the price is right, I don't mind taking you a ride. The group of boatmen suddenly quieted down. Everyone's eyes moved slowly and saw a small boat at the edge. On it sat a stranger with a bandage wrapped around his face. This person didn't seem to be from their Wave Country, but the man who was talking looked a bit fierce and not easy to provoke, so the boatman from the Wave Country didn't dare to persuade him. After seeing the man who was talking, Uehara Naraku couldn't help but smile, and a stack of detonating talismans fell on his fingertips. 100 detonating talismans. Is this price enough? The man's eyes condensed, and it seemed that, after seeing the detonating talismans, he was stunned for a while before slowly nodding. Okay. The prices of detonating talismans in the ninja world are different. In some places, due to war, production and other issues, the price of a detonating talisman is as high as tens of thousands of taels. In some places, due to prosperity, the price of a detonating talisman can be as low as 2,000 taels. Uehara Naraku's shot is not too generous. In a place like the Water Country, 100 detonating talismans can easily sell for 1 million taels. Of course, only ninjas are willing to accept detonating talismans. Uehara Naraku jumped onto the boat, looking at the bandaged man in front of him, with a smile on his face. It seemed that he had good luck this time. He first met Hatake Kakashi, and then met one of Kakashi's nemesis, Momochi's abuser. Now Momochi's abuser is still wearing the uniform of the Hidden Mist village. Perhaps he has not chosen to defect and leave, because he does not have that beautiful toolman by his side. But this cannot be judged. But when Uehara Naraku lowered his head, he saw a broad ninja sword on the boat, and couldn't help but look at Momochi's abuser. Biwajuzo of the Akatsuki organization died in the Hidden Mist village not long ago, and the beheading sword was also recovered by the 4th Mizukage. Did it fall into the hands of Momochi's abuser? Momochi's abuser noticed his eyes, but seemed not to care about his peeping, just started the motor on the boat, and left the dock of the Land of Waves. The boat soon reached the open sea. Momochi's abuser looked at Uehara Naraku and finally asked, Kid, do you recognize this sword? Uehara Naraku nodded and said softly, one of the 7 ninja swords of the Hidden Mist village, a beheading sword. No matter how it is broken in battle, it can be restored to its original shape by absorbing iron in human blood. Momochi's abuser was more and more surprised as he listened, and his eyes gradually became cold. Kid, it seems that you know a lot. I just know a little more than ordinary people. Uehara Naraku waved his hand modestly, looked at the indifferent Momochi's abuser, and continued with a smile. Well, let me think about how to call you. One of the new 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village, the Hidden Mist Demon's abuser Momochi. Clank. Momochi's abuser suddenly grabbed the beheading sword in his hand and suddenly placed it across Uehara's neck. Since you have recognized my identity, and you still dare to go to the water country with me, Kit, what is your purpose? Please give me some recommendation votes. The statistics are very tragic. Chapter 23. Don't accept the toast and drink the wine. Don't be impulsive. Uehara Naraku held a card calmly. The thin card in his hand blocked the sharp edge of the beheading sword. This scene made Zabuza Momochi feel cold. Can a mere ordinary card block the beheading sword? Uehara threw the card at Zabuza Momochi. Zabuza Momochi hurriedly took back the beheading sword to defend himself, only to see that the card had penetrated the beheading sword and stuck on the blade. Uehara Naraku raised his head and continued slowly. Mr. Zabuza, if a person knows too many secrets, he will not live long. This can only fool ordinary people. Looking at the entire ninja world, the more you know, the longer you live, such as Black Zetsu, a fool like Zabuza Momochi died young. HMPH. Zabuza snorted coldly and said with a haughty look, who do you think you are? Little boy, if you tell me your identity and the purpose of going to the land of water in advance, you can suffer less. Are you sure you want me to tell you? Uehara Naraku's mouth drew a mysterious smile and looked at Momochi's abuser sarcastically, saying word by word, my purpose of going to the land of water is to guide one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village to assassinate their Mizukage. Is this what you want? Momochi's abuser was in a state of panic, and the murderous aura on his body overflowed. He stared at Uehara Naraku, and his sharp eyes seemed to cut the boy into pieces. Because Uehara Naraku just hit the nail on the head. Every aspiring ninja in the Hidden Mist Village can see how harmful the blood mist policy implemented by the 4th Mizukage Yagura is to the village, and all of them want to change this situation. Momochi's abuser is one of them. When he was in ninja school, he had the consciousness to change the blood mist village. He even killed all his classmates in the graduation exam, which was full of fratricide. This forced the top leaders of Kirigakure to abolish this assessment method that might cause the Kirigakure ninja to break. After Zabuza Momochi became an adult, he joined the Kirigakure Anbu, and his strength became stronger and stronger. He was praised as the Kirigakure demon by the ninja world. Not long ago, he just took over the returning beheading sword and became the 2nd generation of the 7 ninja swordsmen. Since he got the beheading sword, Zabuza Momochi has had new ideas in his mind. He thinks that his strength is enough, so he has been planning to assassinate the 4th generation Mizukage Yagura in the past few days and change the entire Kirigakure village. If the plan succeeds, everything will go smoothly. If the plan fails, then you have to prepare to escape. This time Zabuza Momochi appeared in the land of waves to find a way out. When he returns, he plans to find an opportunity to assassinate the Mizukage. The boy in front of him seemed to see through his mind. Obviously, this plan has been hidden in his own heart and has never been mentioned to anyone. Zabuza Momochi was very panicked. He wanted to chop off Uehara Naraku with one blow, and he also wanted to find out from him which of the 7 ninja swordsmen this kid wanted to lure to assassinate the Mizukage. If Uehara Naraku told him his name, Zabuza Momochi would chop off his head with one blow, even if it cost him his life. If Uehara Naraku told him the name of another person, Zabuza Momochi would go back to the village to test that person and see if they could act together. Of course, no matter whether they succeeded in assassinating the Mizukage in the future, they would chop off Uehara Naraku's head in the end. As for whether they could chop it off, they would try it out at that time. He was such a ninja who took pleasure in taking revenge. Thinking of this, Zabuza Momochi looked at Uehara and said contemptuously, HMPH, the 7 ninja swordsmen are the 7 strongest swordsman masters in our village and the most loyal ninjas to Lord Mizukage. How could they assassinate the Mizukage because of you, a kid? As soon as he changed the subject, Zabuza Momochi's eyes were suddenly full of murderous intent. Or, you, a kid, have been colluding with one of the traitors for a long time. Kid, tell me his name, maybe I will be willing to spare your life. The name cannot be told to Mr. Zabuza for the time being. Uehara Naraku sat leaning against the cabin, shook his head gently, and a sarcastic smile came over his face again. Whether the 7 ninja swordsmen are loyal or not, didn't Mr. Zabuza know the answer a long time ago? The first generation of the 7 ninja swordsmen were kicked into the 3 lucky treasures by Akanoha Kuroho Reiga and Biwaju was out affected, and the only remaining Zigguration Puffer Ghost had other ideas. There are only 4 people in the second generation of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village. Maingetsu Hazuki and Ringo Emery died of serious illness, and Hoshigaki Kisame and Momochi Zabuza both chose to defect. There are only 2 people in the third generation of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village. Maingetsu Hazuki was born a traitor, and Chijiro is still in the Hidden Mist Village. The defection rate of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village is not ordinary. It seems that we have to use some tricks. Momochi Zabuza put his fingers together. There are only 3 people in the second batch of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village, namely Maingetsu Hazuki, Hoshigaki Kisame and Momochi Zabuza. The problem is that except for Zabuza himself, he thinks that the remaining 2 people are loyal to the 4th Mizukage. Since Hoshigaki Kisame killed the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon, he has taken control of the village. Maingetsu Hazuki is a member of the clan of the 2nd Mizukage, who can use all ninja swords, and is also a genius that everyone has high hopes for. Zabuza Momochi was not willing to take the gamble. He wanted to get a name from Uehara Naraku and identify a possible partner. Ninjutsu, Mist Hidden Technique. A cloud of fog appeared on the sea, gradually covering the small boat. Zabuza Momochi took a few steps back, and his tall figure disappeared in the fog. His voice came from all directions of the fog. Kid, are there any parts of your body that you don't want? I can help you cut them off. Idiot. Uehara Naraku cursed secretly, slowly closed his fingers, and whispered, Zabuza, there are some people in the ninja world that you absolutely cannot provoke, but you just like to provoke those people. For example, this cheetah. For example, the future team of Genin cheetahs in Konoha. Lightning release, 10,000 thunder prison induction. A huge thundercloud storm appeared in the fog on the sea, and a lightning bolt accurately struck Zabuza Momochi's position. Fortunately, he dodged in time through the fog. However, in 1 second, 2 more lightning bolts fell in succession. This brat is actually good at lightning release ninjutsu. Momochi Zabuza gritted his teeth, quickly closed his palms, and tried to take a bolt of lightning, and formed a technique, water release, water prison technique. The waves on the sea surface surged up, forming a hollow water ball, which wrapped up Zabuza Momochi. A bolt of lightning struck down, and the lightning fell on the sea along the water ball. After hiding in the water prison, Momochi Zabuza barely breathed a sigh of relief, but his expression was very ugly. The little guy only used a ninjutsu, and his position was directly exposed. Uehara Naraku stepped on the sea water, and walked step by step to the position where Zabuza Momochi was. The young man's voice sounded a little childish. If you don't accept my toast, you will be punished. Chapter 24, Zabuza, Defeat. Arsehole. Being insulted by a young man, Zabuza Momochi cursed inwardly in the water prison, but he was not fooled. Instead, he quietly waited in the water prison for the thundercloud storm to dissipate. In just a few seconds, Zabuza Momochi had already sensed the frequency of lightning attacks. As long as he poured chakra into the water prison, he could ensure that he could last for a long time. But the little devil had already found it following the traces of lightning. Uehara Naraku held a stack of detonating tags in his hand and threw them on the water prison. He whispered, these are the 100 detonating tags that we agreed on in the Land of Waves. I'll pay you now. Zabuza Momochi. Where did this payment method come from? 100 detonating tags are roughly equivalent to 100 Jonin level fire escape ninjutsu. When they explode together, they can directly evaporate the water that condensed the water prison jutsu. Uehara Naraku waved his hand, raised his finger, and shouted seriously at his explosion. Hey, idiot. Zabuza Momochi held his forehead helplessly. Boom. 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 A series of explosions resounded through the sea. The defensive waves were broken by the bombardment of hundreds of detonating tags in an instant. Zabuza Momochi in the water prison had a flash of horror in his eyes. The whole person was hit by the explosion head on. A splash of water flew up. That was the water clone. Zabuza Momochi in the water prison turned into a water clone. As for his real body, he had long disappeared. The thundercloud storm in the sky gradually dissipated, and the location of Zabuza Momochi's real body could no longer be tracked. Uehara Naraku frowned, and when he was watching the surrounding fog vigilantly, he suddenly heard Zabuza Momochi shouting, "Water style, water dragon bullet technique." Zabuza's chakra quickly became dense, and a huge monster raised its head and broke through the fog. The huge water dragon pounced on Uehara Naraku's position. Wind style, wind barrier. Naraku Uehara was not panicked when he saw this. He symbolically put his hands together and formed a seal, then released a wind wall. He only looked at the splashes of water dragon hitting the wind wall and whispered, "It takes 44 seals to form this technique. It must be very hard, right?" A red light was reflected at Naraku Uehara's feet. Zabuza Momochi's body almost turned bloody. That was the chakra flow emanating from his body. He fell from the sky, and the beheading sword in his hand also chopped down with a resolute momentum. Was the water dragon bullet technique just a feint? The silent killing technique now is the real killer move against Naraku Uehara. The beheading sword in Zabuza Momochi's hand fell on Naraku Uehara's arm in just 1 second. This was also his purpose. As long as Naraku Uehara lost his arm, he would no longer be able to form a seal successfully, and could only let him slaughter him. Crack. The golden light shield floated on Naraku Uehara's body, and the huge impact force broke the beheading sword into pieces. Several golden chakra lightsabers floated around the light shield, piercing into Zabuza Momochi's body quickly. It was the moment of the angel's ultimate skill, the holy judgment. Zabuza Momochi was stabbed with chakra swords and bleeding all over. He looked at the unharmed boy in astonishment, with a trace of unwillingness in his eyes. "Arsehole, it turned out to be a trap. You little devil hid it so well. You attacked me first." Uehara Naraku twisted Zabuza's wrist with one hand, took the beheading sword that fell from his hand, kicked Zabuza in the chest, and kicked him onto the boat. Side quest, defeat the 7 ninja swordsmen, 1/7. The reward is unknown. Side quest, defeat Zabuza Momochi, 1/1. The task has been completed, and the reward skill is the secret art of my style, Kasumi Array. My style secret technique, Kasumi Jin. Release a smoke area, turn invisible in the smoke and restore 40% of chakra. The invisible state will not be hit by enemy attacks, which lasts for 5 seconds. It will appear when attacking or using skills. It does not consume any energy, and has a cooldown of 20 seconds. This skill made Uehara Naraku full of questions. That's it? That's it? He defeated Zabuza Momochi. Throughout the timeline of the entire Naruto world, only 3 people have put the entire Team 7 protagonist group in danger. The first one is Zabuza Momochi, the second one is Uchiha Madara, and the third one is Kaguya Akatsuki. However, the reward of this Kasumi Jin skill is not bad. It can be regarded as a life-saving skill, not to mention that this skill also has its own chakra recovery. Uehara Naraku returned to the boat, sat down calmly, looked at Zabuza who was covering his wound, and said softly, "I advise you, don't provoke people who should not be provoked." HMPH. Momochi Zabuza couldn't help gritting his teeth when he heard it. This little brat said this again. Is he still bragging about his identity and strength? Uehara Naraku heard his cold snort and smiled. "Mr. Zabuza, I'm a kind person. Even if you wanted to sneak attack me just now, I'm still willing to let you live. After all, you are a person who is barely useful." Momochi Zabuza was furious at his words. He suppressed his anger and said sarcastically, "It sounds like I'm really lucky." "Yes." Uehara nodded seriously and looked at him and said, "After all, if I want to meet another member of the 7 ninja swordsmen, it depends on Mr. Zabuza." Momochi Zabuza slowly relaxed and glanced at the young man opposite. "Since you need my help, I have to tell you who you want to see, right? Hashiga Kikisame." Uehara Naraku said the name without hesitation. In the history of the entire ninja world, there are very few people who can be called real ninjas. Hashiga Kikisame is undoubtedly a qualified ninja. If possible, Uehara Naraku even wanted to try to persuade Hashiga Kikisame to rebel. The man with a shark face was a rare helper. Just because of his persistence in the superior's mission, it would be a waste of talent to let him go. As for how to persuade him to rebel, it was a big problem. If nothing unexpected happened, Hashiga Kikisame would definitely become a pawn of the mysterious masked man. He might even have been convinced by the Moon Eye plan promised by the mysterious masked man, and he remained loyal enough until he died in a vigorous battle. Except that he had to make hand seals. No matter what ninjutsu he released, there was really no flaw in Hashiga Kikisame. Momochi's abuser couldn't help but sneered when he heard the name of Hashiga Kikisame. He looked at Uehara Naraku with contempt and said, "If you say the name of another person, I might still have some doubts, but that guy Hashiga Kikisame would never betray the 4th Mizukage. Hashiga Kikisame is the confidant of the 4th Mizukage Yagura. When Yagura wanted to seize the power of the Enbu, he instructed Hashiga Kikisame to kill the previous Anbu leader, Ziguashin Fuguki, and promoted Kisame to become the new 7 ninja swordsman of the ninja swordsman, and gave him Samehada. The entire Kirigakure village knew that Hashiga Kikisame was loyal to the 4th Mizukage Yagura. Except for Yagura's orders that could move Kisame, he would not pay attention to anything else, even if someone privately invited him to propose the abolition of the unreasonable blood mist system. If the 4th Mizukage Yagura was overthrown in the Kirigakure village, the last person standing in front of him to protect him would definitely be Hashiga Kikisame. How could such a person betray? Chapter 25. The people of the water country have poor eyesight. The ship arrived at the land of water. Along the way, Zabuza Momochi tried to test Uehara Naraku many times, but he was not sure whether the name of Hashiga Kikisame he mentioned was true or false. If it was not Hashiga Kikisame, could it be Maingetsu Hazuki? But Maingetsu Hazuki is an absolute genius and the most promising person in the village to succeed the 5th Mizukage. Would he be willing to take the risk to assassinate the 4th Mizukage? Among the 3 current 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist village, Zabuza Momochi still believed that he was the only one who wanted to assassinate the 4th Mizukage Yagura. Maingetsu Hazuki and Hashiga Kikisame both looked very loyal. If they let the cat out of the bag, it would hinder his plan. After they set foot on the land of water, Zabuza Momochi took the initiative to ask Uehara Naraku, "I can only provide you with the route of Hashiga Kikisame once, and I will not take you to see him, and if I take you to see him, you will not believe me, right?" Well, Mr. Zabuza's credibility is indeed worrying. Uehara Naraku frowned and nodded, ignoring Zabuza Momochi's suddenly ugly face, and continued softly, "Then let's agree on the time for the next meeting. The time is set in 3 days, and the location is still set here." Okay. Zabuza agreed to his proposal. The reason why Zabuza Momochi was willing to agree to help instead of dying to show his determination was because he also saw Uehara's strength and wanted to take the opportunity to use Uehara Naraku. Hashiga Kikisame is the most loyal ninja to the 4th Mizukage in the entire Kirigakure village. He is stronger than him in a serious battle. If Uehara Naraku can delay Hashiga Kikisame, Zabuza Momochi can immediately launch an operation to assassinate the Mizukage. In the entire Hidden Mist village, only Hashiga Kikisame is willing to protect the idiot Mizukage Yagura. Who else would dare to approach him? This is a rare opportunity. Then I wish us a happy cooperation. Uehara Naraku looked at Momochi's abuser and stretched out his hand. Momochi's abuser glared at him and did not shake hands to make peace. Instead, he said in a cold voice, "We are not cooperating. I'm just providing you with information." "That's a pity." Uehara Naraku sighed and said with a gloomy look, "Before we part, I want to remind you that, although I like to lie to people, I don't like others to lie to me." "I know." Momochi's abuser agreed, but secretly cursed in his heart. This kid is not very old, but he has a lot of heirs. Uehara Naraku was not really worried that Momochi's abuser would deceive him. Even if this guy brought a group of mist ninjas to encircle him, Uehara was confident enough to escape. He only needed to give himself the invincibility of the Holy Judgment, and then use the Mayfly technique to sneak underground and escape. Now there were still 3 days before Momochi's abuser exchanged information. Since he had come to the land of water, there was naturally no reason to go to the treasure mountain empty-handed. In the map of the land of water, the 2 most popular characters were Meitarumi and Shiro. Uehara Naraku did not expect to meet the future 5th generation Mizukage. He wanted to try to find Shiro, who had the ice release bloodline. Shiro should be wandering and begging in the streets of the Land of Water now, carefully hiding his identity as a descendant of the Ice Release bloodline. His range of activities was a bit large. Uehara Naraku looked forward to the simple tasks related to Shiro on the system panel and insisted on searching for 3 days in the dirtiest, messiest, and worst places in the Land of Water, but still did not find any trace of Shiro. Uehara Naraku left the garbage dump with a sense of loss. When he decided to give up the search for Haku for the time being and wait for information about Momochi's abuser, a strand of brown hair appeared in his sight. The boy slowly raised his head along the strand of brown hair and saw a young female ninja with long brown hair and a gentle face. She looked at Uehara with a smile and suddenly spread out her palm like a magic trick, with a pack of biscuits in the palm. The woman bent down, spread out the biscuits in her hand and stretched forward. "Little guy, eat quickly, this is for you." Uehara Naraku was full of question marks. This young woman with long brown hair was the future 5th Mizukage Meditarumi, and Uehara did not expect to meet her at this time, and in this place. The question is, what does Meditarumi mean by giving him biscuits? Uehara Naraku tilted his head and looked at the 2 ninjas behind Terumi Medi. One of the ninjas had a blush on his face and looked at the female ninja with admiration. As expected of Terumi Medi, she is so gentle. The other ninja's face was a little hard to describe. If it weren't for the fact that Terumi Medi's techniques are always so scary, there would be many people in the village who admire her. The air suddenly became silent. "Shut up, it's so noisy." Terumi Medi, who was originally as gentle as water, heard the slander of one of her subordinates. Her face instantly became furious. She turned around and kicked the man away with a knee strike. Terumi Medi glanced coldly at the other ninja who was already sweating profusely, snorted coldly, fiddled with her long hair, turned her head, and looked at Uehara Naraku again, and her face returned to the gentle and lovely look just now. The speed at which she changed her face was really embarrassing. The brown-haired female ninja seemed to feel that her previous behavior was somewhat ungentlemanly. She walked towards Uehara Naraku with her tall figure, pulled up Uehara's arm, put the biscuit in his palm, and rubbed his head affectionately. "Little brother, don't be afraid, sister is a good person." Terumi Medi showed a warm smile like motherly love, squatted down and said softly, "Have you been hungry for a long time? These are for you, eat quickly." Uehara Naraku listened to her urging, woodenly stuffed a biscuit into his mouth. His mind was blank. Could it be because he looked so handsome as a teenager that attracted Terumi Medi's attention? Seeing the boy biting the biscuit in small bites, Terumi Medi nodded with satisfaction and continued softly, "Little guy, do you have a home now?" Uehara Naraku shook his head in silence, and then he nodded again, as if the Akatsuki organization could also be considered his home. Both Konan and Pin were very good to him. "I know." Terumi patted his forehead, and she didn't know what was going on in her mind. She sighed and said, "If you have any difficulties in the future, you can come to the Hidden Mist village to find me. Don't pick up food in the garbage dump. I'm Terumi, the Jonin of the Hidden Mist village. Remember? Remember." Naraku Uehara took a bite of the biscuit, and his face gradually became not so good. How did this woman know that he was picking up food in the garbage dump? He was a rich man with 100 million detonating tags on him. That's good. Terumi nodded with satisfaction, turned around and left with her subordinates. "Okay, let's go." One of the ninjas praised, "I have never seen Lady Terumi Medi so gentle. If Lady Terumi Medi can be half as gentle to that little guy just now, no, 1/10, there will be many people in the village willing to woo Lady Terumi Medi. Humph, there is not a single good man in the village." Terumi raised her head disdainfully, her voice gradually faded away, but could still be vaguely heard by Uehara Naraku. "Don't you think that little guy is interesting? He is obviously a homeless child looking for food in the garbage dump. His clothes are so rough, but he keeps them very clean. Even though he is so down and out, he still has ambition." Snap. Uehara Naraku suddenly clenched his palms and suddenly exerted force to crush the biscuits in his palms into pieces. How did that woman with such poor eyesight find out that the 4th Mizukage was under an illusion? And how did she become a Mizukage in the future? Whoosh. When Uehara Naraku was still feeling depressed, a figure suddenly rushed past him, grabbed the broken biscuits in his hand, and ran away quickly. Uehara Naraku was stunned for a moment, then looked at the homeless child who was eating voraciously not far from him, and couldn't help but twitching his eyes. Are all the people in the land of water so blind? How dare someone steal his things? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.